Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Hey! Yeah! Back! I thought Bull got kidnapped. I'm not kidding you. I was like, where the hell is Bull been?
I was on vacation.
COVID.
It was a mess, but I am fired up. I recorded my podcast this morning. It's normally 18 to 22 minutes. I did 33 minutes. The Ultimate Cleveland Guardian show is supposed to be no more than 33 minutes. I went 40. Zach and I went 46 minutes. I don't care. We may go past one. Who the hell knows? There's so much to talk about. It's the best time of the year. Football is starting.
Together.
Baseball pennant races. The weather is starting. The last 2 days, the humidity broke. It
felt like fall, didn't it?
It was fantastic.
It felt like fall.
Good to see you guys.
I had a game Saturday, and I'm like, this feels like a playoff game because it was. I don't want to say chilly, but it wasn't hot. No humidity. Well, you're going old school today.
That's right.
Yeah, man. I had to pull this out. This is my rally coat because the Guardians was finished. They got them 2 wins, saved their life.
Oh, I'm ripping all the people that said they were finished.
They saved themselves big time.
Yeah.
Because that thing was looking like it was hit the iceberg and was going under.
And I coached 2 victories yesterday for my 10 and 11 and my 12 and 13-year-old team. They both won. Yes, we dominated. 15-3 and 8-4. Let's go.
I don't think we know how you finished up in the other league. I don't.
We lost in the first round of the playoffs.
Really? You really liked your team?
I did.
What happened?
Had a chemistry issue.
Oh, really?
And we crapped a bad at the
Now,
end.
wait a minute. We got to dig down deeper on this.
I
You're
got to be
12
careful
years
what I
old.
say.
No names.
Yes.
But a chemistry issue?
There was a little bit of a chemistry issue.
Was there factions on the team?
No, but one of the older kids was a little.
Well, don't get into it. People, parents watch this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's not.
We're not naming names. I'm just fascinated that there could be a chemistry
issue. The team became
issue.
a handful. A lot of great kids, but it's whatever. My fault. I was the coach. I'm to blame.
So it got away from you.
It got away from me. But
that's a teaching moment.
My fall ball team. I got 22 kids between the 2 teams.
Wow.
24 kids. Sorry.
Hey, that's a good sign for youth baseball.
Great kids.
Right?
Yes.
Usually participation in fall league is down. Fewer teams. Less interest.
So shout out to George Hine real quick. George Hine is the guy who came up with the idea for our fall ball league.
Right.
He was the one that got the ball rolling. And then myself and a few other guys jumped in, kind of became the board of directors, and we were going to start with 4 teams the first year. There was so much interest, we ended up with 6 teams in each division. And there's a connection. So
10 and 11.
There's a 10 and 11-year-old team and a 12 and a 3rd-year-old division.
And each has
6 in each.
That's great.
And we could have done 8. Next year we're going to do 8 in each division.
No kidding.
And so I'm the only one who coaches both divisions.
Yeah.
But they're connected, so they're River Pirates. Both teams are the River Pirates.
Right.
And when I don't have enough kids on my major league team, if there was a week where I had 5 kids out, I called up some of my better players for my minor league team, and I play them on my major league team.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
With the name River Pirates, I imagine there's some association with the high school program.
Just Rocky River in general.
Right.
But yes, there is an association with the program.
There's
a new baseball coach in Rocky River. He's probably the best coach the town's ever had. They made the playoffs last year.
They've had
best
good
season
baseball,
ever.
Rocky River.
They have, but last year, I shouldn't say they've ever had. Since I've been in Rocky River,
that's fair.
It's the best.
Back in my day, Rocky River was very good.
Back in the day.
Very good.
And but there's a new coach. They went to the playoffs this year. There's a lot of enthusiasm, and he's connected with us in the fall.
Love to hear it.
We're very excited. We had 2 great wins. I got 24 kids, not a bad apple in the bunch. They're great teammates. They're great boys.
Is this opening weekend?
No. We've played 5 games already.
Wow.
So I'm sorry,
awesome.
4 games.
Now this goes on Sunday. I'm assuming they'll be early enough for everybody to get home and watch the Browns.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
good.
There one of the playoff. There's the last week of the regular season. There'll be 1 game late. Oh no, but the Browns don't play to 4:20 that day, so it doesn't matter. So we're good. Yes, that's right.
Awesome, perfect. Because that will cut into the interest, both for the parents and the kids.
No doubt. And plus, kids are playing soccer, playing football.
Smart,
but
very smart.
But the Guardians.
Guardians.
Before we get to the Browns,
this is hyperbole.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say they saved their season, but it could have gotten away in Minnesota. I believe if they would have lost all 4, it would have stretched their losing streak, I think, to 8. 9. So they had lost 7 after Friday's second bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to say that it would have been over, but they would have lost all of their momentum. It would have been scratch. And the way they've playing sub 500 going back over a month, and the way the Twins have been playing, it's not too hard to believe that this is a tug of war, and they've got the momentum.
Yeah.
So, but they saved all that with the 2 wins Saturday and Sunday.
Real quick, because we're spending most of today's show on the Browns. Everybody's got Browns fever right now. We get it. We're gonna get to the Guardians in the second hour for a little bit, but just a couple of minutes here, real quick. Number one, I was frustrated with some of the, I think, fair weather fans that were completely off. You want to be pissed about a 7-game losing streak? I get it. They've not, and as you said, almost a month of not playing well. Fair. But to say the season's over was unfair because the Orioles have had a bad stretch.
Yeah.
The Yankees have had a bad. Nobody in baseball is immune. And as of this morning, the Guardians still have the best winning percentage of the American League.
Stunning.
And the second best winning percentage in baseball. They built that up. This is baseball, Joe. Jay, you know better than anybody. You're going to go through bad stretches.
Yeah, you are.
This was particularly bad the last week. But what really is huge about what happened Saturday and Sunday is not only did they win, but they gave you a preview of what the playoffs could be like with their 2 best pitchers. Tanner Bybee, who had missed the start due to injury, was great. Gavin Williams, what was interesting about Gavin Williams is the most efficient I'd ever seen him. The strikeouts were down. They took him out after 6 innings. He'd only thrown 75 pitches. He could have possibly gone 8, but they were like, great start.
Slow.
Let's be happy.
Yeah. Not ruin it.
And when they pitch that way, which Bybee and Gavin Williams are capable every time they take the mound, then you set up for your good relievers, your top guys, and they've been lights out the top guys.
Yeah, I love your point on Williams. My takeaway after Williams' start was this is the guy we thought we were going to have all year. This was the first time we've seen him. I have been screaming from the mountaintop all season long, this guy's approach is broken. He's going 85, 90 pitches in 5 innings.
Right, not good.
You can't do that.
No.
You can't because you're putting wear and tear on the bullpen.
Yeah.
And I love that you said the strikeouts were down. Sometimes, and I've made that transition this year after my elbow procedure and just being smarter, especially being on a pitch count for my first 6 games. I said, you know what? I want to go as deep as I can. That's going to mean not going at pitchers and trying to strike them out. Put the bat on the ball. I got 8 great fielders behind me.
That's the thing.
And let them do their thing. Yes, and this has to be the Gavin Williams we see moving forward.
Yeah.
Stop trying to be Nolan Ryan.
Right.
You're not.
The strikeouts will come.
They will, naturally.
He's got great stuff.
Yes, but throw to contact.
That's right.
Go deep into the game.
That's
give
right.
your team a chance to win, save the bullpen. That's what it's all about.
You're in a big spot. It's the 6th inning. It's bases loaded. Bear down, get yourself a strikeout.
That's right, and there's time for that.
Right, but you got to pitch to contact.
You do.
Especially with your great infield defense and especially when you're facing, some weaker hitters in the lineup. You got to know the lineup. He's a young pitcher. I get it. But there's a couple of things for later in the show. When we do get back to the Guardians, before we get to the Browns, 2 quickies. Number 1.
I want your Cubs scouting report,
when it comes to the Cubs in this series, I got a bold proclamation to make.
Okay.
And may stun you all. Now, if you watch the Guardian show, you know what it is. But a lot of you did not, and you guys didn't. So you're going to be maybe shocked by what I say. And even though I love Stephen Vogt and love this weekend, I have 2 big beefs with Stephen Vogt in yesterday's game.
Big beefs.
Yesterday's game.
Yes, 2 things I really did not like.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I found out that one of those 2 things was not his call, that the player made a decision by himself.
Okay,
so we'll get to that later. But go ahead.
I think I know what you're talking about. That happens.
Yeah.
We will come back to the Guards. A lot to get to in the Browns. A lot to get to on the Browns. And I want a disclaimer before we dive into our Browns talk. Everything we say from this point on, don't take it to the bank. This is the preseason.
That's right.
This is the preseason. Nobody won any jobs. I don't think anybody lost any jobs.
No.
The season starts in a month.
Right.
Liars! Somebody did win a job. Somebody won a job.
D. Bush, I will start the first topic with you then. I'll make sure I tee you up for this first topic after a quick
Kool-Aid.
look at the fan. Who is the sponsor of today's show? You guys know I love sports. I love them so much. But as the summer continues on, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball and the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It was a preseason game, G, but DTR looked damn good in his second half reps against the Green Bay Packers. I know you did a breakdown video on UCSS over the weekend on DTR, but in your mind, G, and I want to start with you on this, has he done enough or shown enough to this point to lock him into that QB3 slot on this Cleveland Browns roster for the regular season?
Listen, DTR, he reached out to me and said, listen, G. Bush, you playing around with my name. My name is DTR, and you forgot that in the preseason, I reign supreme. In the preseason, I am a top 5 quarterback. In the preseason, I am him. And DTR, he said, hold on. He told Hundley and all those other guys, he said, hold my goblet of Kool-Aid. And my name is DTR, and that stands for Don't Talk Right Now. I got to show you something. And DTR came out there slinging that Capicola ham. Bro, he's back to DTR in the preseason. His reads is crisp. Like the dude, what is it, 11 or 14 or something? And he had some plays that came back. The ball came out of his hand looking crazy. I'm like, man, this dude is, for a small dude, this dude is throwing dots out here. He's throwing BBs. And he was like, look, y'all must have forgot that this is what I do. It is the preseason. And when I play in the preseason, I'm like, I'm that guy. And I looked at it and was like, Tyler Hundley, you ain't got this one. He came out and put his flag in the ground to be truthful. DTR, he was throwing a better football than Jameis Winston. I said, this is wild. DTR has his position. This is sold up. I don't know what Tyler Hundley, Mary Kay said. He's possibly going to have to go. Maybe they could find something for him. And that's not saying that Tyler Hundley is garbage or nothing, but DTR is out here like ready to go. He must have felt like his position was on the line. I got DTR in the position. He already wanted us a wrap. We already got the 3 quarterbacks. We'll figure out what's going on.
The interesting thing, Jay, is that last year, the Browns, for the most part, I think almost every week, only had 2 quarterbacks on the active roster.
Right.
If you keep DTR, which I agree, I don't think, to me personally, I don't think it has anything to do with what happened in the game.
No, that's why I said no position was won or lost.
Right.
This was a fait accompli.
He was going to be the number 3.
Yeah, you don't draft a guy where they drafted him and have the hopes for him and then bring in an outsider that doesn't know the system as well and then he wins the job.
It doesn't make sense.
That job was won.
Right.
Tyler Huntley is training camp.
Right, but the thing is, because they brought in Jameis Winston, which I get, they're going to have to keep 3 quarterbacks on the active roster because DTR has shown enough between the preseason and the little he played in the regular season last year that somebody, especially a bad team that's not playing for anything this year, would take him off a practice squad.
Absolutely right.
So, listen, we all judge guys, right? Even when it's too soon. It's way too, excuse me, it's way too soon to judge how good DTR is going to be in his career. We don't know yet. My best guess on DTR, and he was a late pick. So most late pick quarterbacks don't do anything in the NFL.
6th round? Something 5th round.
5th round.
Yeah. Most 5th round and later quarterbacks don't last in the NFL very long.
Nope.
If I had to bet on DTR's career, I'd bet he's a long-term backup in the league who starts here and there. That's what I think, which is pretty darn good for a 5th round pick at quarterback. And so, and he's a guy, and he'll be a guy who could start here and there. Again, I could certainly be wrong. That's just my prediction on it. So I'm not just letting him walk out the door.
Right.
So I didn't see there was any way. They brought in Tyler Huntley, I think, because they didn't know what Deshaun Watson was going to be capable of, for sure, when the season started. So they brought him in if Deshaun had to start on the PUP list or something like that.
And do we even know now?
Like, I guess we don't know for sure.
We really
don't play in the preseason game.
It's my assumption he's going to be ready for Dallas.
Right.
Oh no, that's a guarantee.
Careful now.
I mean, we assume it.
That's the assumption.
That's the guarantee.
But gee, at the time they signed Huntley,
right.
they didn't know
at
that.
At the time.
And honestly, I agree with you. I think there's a very strong
Right, but we don't know for sure.
He proclaimed in May that he was ready to go.
Right.
100%.
And he should be. However,
yeah.
as far as I know, Jared Allen's still day to day, right? Isn't he?
I mean, he signed a 5-year or 3-year extension, so you would hope he's
But when the
healthy enough,
season ended, where was he? He was on the day-to-day list.
Day-to-day, yeah.
And we were told after one game, this is day-to-day.
Yeah.
And then day-to-day turned into another one,
Yeah.
and another one, and then the entire Boston series, season over.
By the way,
I think he'll play.
Jay, sorry to cut you off.
We still don't know.
For a second, I'm sorry. When you said Jared Allen, I was thinking Josh Allen. I was like,
Yeah,
where are you?
No, I
know
know.
what you were talking
I
about.
was
looking,
And then I was like, oh, God, he's talking basketball.
I was like,
my point is,
Yeah.
we thought we knew.
Yes,
we thought we knew. Everybody was like, well, he's going to play in game
gonna play.
one.
He's gonna play in this game.
He'll
He's
play
gonna play-
game 2.
Yeah.
He'll play game 3.
Right.
If I had to bet my crib on whether Deshaun Watson would play game 1, yes.
Of course, yeah.
I would too.
But
I'd
even
bet
if
my
you say
house.
it's 99.9%, whatever.
But this is a total tangent.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact we're not going to see him in the preseason.
Well, see that
Don't like that at all.
I was gonna say that.
That's a whole different discussion.
I know it
for a
is.
whole
You go.
different
I know
day.
it is.
They didn't already came out and said you're not gonna get no second preseason game. And to be truthful, let it be raining in Seattle. He ain't playing that game either.
Did they say for sure he's not going to play the third game?
No, not yet.
not yet.
No, but it's certainly trending that way. I mean, didn't play 1, didn't play 2. I would hope you put him out there for at least a couple of
I don't
series
understand
in
why
Seattle.
they wouldn't. This idea
I don't
that you're
either.
worried about him getting hurt, like if he's that dangerous, if he's that
fragile, then he's not your guy.
Couldn't think of the word.
He's not your guy.
They're doing it because they're going to guarantee what I just said a second ago. Oh, he's going to play week 1. They're guaranteeing that.
If any quarterback in football could use a couple of reps,
Yes,
it's him.
absolutely.
Joe Burrow played a series.
Probably.
Listen, they're all will.
Everybody else is playing, right?
Yeah.
I seen Patrick Mahomes play. I seen Richardson play.
Yeah.
But Jordan Love came out there right away, slinging it like
that
it
was
was
the
regular
first
season.
preseason game Joe Burrow's ever played in.
Yeah, because he's always been dinged.
Ding.
Hey, Kevin Stefanski.
And there was the first year was COVID.
Right,
And,
right.
Now, here's the thing. If Kevin Stefanski didn't have no contract, I think he'd play him.
I don't believe Kevin
What?
Stefanski's making that decision based on that.
Well,
you never know.
No, I think he's making a decision like, oh, no, this is me. I got a contract. I do what I want. Me and Andrew Berry then came up with it. Hell or high water, Deshaun Watson would be playing
Yeah,
week
that's
1.
his philosophy.
And
Yeah.
we ain't
But
getting
whatever,
nobody. Like, it's the Luke Wypler effect, right? Just be clear. I'm just saying, when you go out there and you step on that field, there are chances you can get hurt. Now, like Luke Wypler, you go get Nick Harris. We'll talk about that later on the show.
So don't play anybody. Don't even play the game.
Yeah, so
But it's
listen,
different with the
there's
quarterback.
some that say
Yeah.
that the preseason may be a completely extinct beast
if they go
once
to
they go to 18 games.
right, yeah.
I would get rid of it.
Now, the thing of it is, I do think that there are certain positions in sports that you just can't roll out there week 1 when the bullets start flying and be yourself. Yeah.
But why did they?
And that's one of them.
Yeah.
Why did they
I mean,
do
I
it?
guess if
speed is
everybody's
different.
doing it, then
But hold on, my
Yeah.
thing is, why do they do it in college then? You come out week 1 in college, and
Because
only
in the old college, you lost once, your chances were over.
and now they come out the gates and they be playing. Alabama's playing Oregon.
But wait a
you're
second.
like, what?
Well, because
Those
now,
week 1.
but now everybody can slip up and still make the
yes.
playoffs. It's a
But-
different world
And
now.
by the way, still most teams play cupcakes the first week.
They do.
In
I mean,
college.
but-
And there's no such thing in the NFL.
But
as that.
there is
weeks off.
The big boys are playing, and here's the thing too: in the NFL, you could afford to lose a game in the beginning of the season.
Of course, yeah. Everybody's in the same boat potentially, especially if they go to what they might do is have 2 scrimmages with
I
you
think
can't
where
hit
we're
the
going
quarterback.
is they're going to have mixed workouts for a week. So, for instance, maybe the Browns and the Bengals, not the Browns and Bengals because they're in the same
Yeah,
division.
sure.
Browns and the Eagles.
Right, sure.
These teams that they like to work out with.
Yeah.
Browns and the Jets, whatever it
Vikings,
is,
whatever,
the
yeah,
Vikings.
yeah.
They'll spend 1 week in camp together.
Right.
And it will be high-level workouts, close to a scrimmage.
Right.
But the days of the preseason, I read something Wednesday or Thursday of last week, late last week, that said the league is hell-bent on 18 games. It's coming. It's coming.
100%.
100%.
2
it's
buys
coming.
probably.
2 buys during
Yeah.
an 18 regular. And what most likely will happen is these meaningless for the fans preseason games
Gone.
will go away.
Yeah.
And the way they'll tune up their players will be in these highly competitive week-long training sessions together,
Right.
where they do run 11s and they run scrimmage clock and the
right.
whole thing, and you're working on your timing.
And the rosters will be bigger, so there'll be less concern about, the final cuts, because now you're talking about cutting for 63 instead of 53
you're right.
or something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know that.
Yeah.
But all things being equal, if Deshaun Watson was coming off a Pro Bowl season last year and he was a fine-tuned machine, he played the whole year, no injuries, looked great, okay. If you want to hold him out of the preseason, we know what he can do. But the biggest question mark for this team, ask any expert, what's the big question mark for the Browns coming into this year? This might be the only year in the history of the franchise where there's only one answer to that question. Number 4.
There is no, I don't even, what even can you make an argument for?
I don't think there
Anything
is
else?
a second
There's
one.
nothing.
So let me ask y'all this.
Yeah.
If you're the coach, right, and you're satisfied with where he's at,
Then that's fine. Listen,
but I'm just saying, if you're satisfied where you're at, is preseason games for guys that are veterans?
Yeah.
Is that to appease us?
I don't know.
Is it to show
they don't
whether
need
or
to
not?
appease us.
No, it's for him.
The only thing
It's for
I'd say
Deshaun
about
Watson.
it, listen, Kevin Stefanski, to some degree, has earned enough credibility that you trust him a decent amount.
I think
right?
He's earned more than enough.
Right.
Two-time coach of the year.
Not perfect. He's won one playoff game. He got a lot more to do.
Right.
But I trust him very, very much. So if he feels like this is...
We don't even give him credit for that playoff win. He wasn't there.
Right. If this is what he thinks is best, okay, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm just saying, if I were the coach...
Sure.
Based on the information that I have, and he's got way more information than I do.
Right.
Here's what I'm thinking to myself. Who's the best coach in football? Andy Reid, right?
Sure.
Okay. Andy Reid played, and who's the best quarterback in football?
Patrick Mahomes, not even close.
He plays every year in the preseason.
Every year.
So if they're going to play that guy, now I get it. You could say, well, Deshaun Watson's been injury prone, Patrick Mahomes is not. Well, okay, then let me go to the Bengals. Now they don't have a great coach, but Joe Burrow is considered one of the best quarterbacks in football.
He is.
And more like Watson than Mahomes. He's been a little injury prone.
Yes.
He played in the preseason. So if those two guys are playing in the preseason.
How did he look, by the way?
He looked great.
Did he?
I mean, 6 passes,
Yeah.
but he looked like himself.
Good.
Well, we'll have plenty of time to get into the
So
should he or shouldn't he.
I don't think it's the end of the world.
No.
I'm not saying, the Browns, it's a disaster. He's
It's not going to
playing.
make or break their season.
No,
However, if there's a preference and I have to check a box, would you like to
Exactly.
see him for a few series? You want him in mothballs? That's easy for me. I need to see him a
That's
little
right.
bit.
That's right.
And I think
That's
it's
how I
more
feel,
for
too.
him. It's not for the fans.
No.
It's not for Kevin Stefanski. He knows what he can do. I want him to have 3 series where he's 9 for 11 with a touchdown, 100 yards passing, and he says, "Oh yeah,
I'm back."
Old Deshaun is back." It might be tough to figure that out in week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys defense.
That's true.
It might
That's
be
true.
tough.
We sabotaged your topic there, Mike. Sorry.
Yeah, somehow we
I
spent
did. I take
15
full
minutes on Deshaun
responsibility.
and a Tyler Huntley DTR topic.
I don't think anybody's turning that off.
We'll pivot
No.
over to the Nick Harris sec with G, because I know you were locked into the DTR performance.
Yeah.
It was obviously his first time playing since getting injured again last season. He looked fully healthy again. Did you see anything? I know it's against second team, third stringers from Green Bay, but did you see anything from DTR that you noticed he may have advanced and progressed from when we saw him as a rookie in terms of reading the defense, hanging in the pocket, making certain throws?
Well, listen, this you could tell that he was under an advanced system and he played a lot of football at UCLA. When you look at the system that Dorsey, has implemented, and it's more vertical, and they're doing a lot more things with option routes and different things. And I almost hate saying that because that's rudimentary. Like, everybody runs option routes. I don't want to make it seem like that's something new in the league. Like, people have been running that, but they're doing a lot more different things with motion. And you could tell DTR is comfortable making nose reads from out of shotgun and anticipating throws. So, his background in college, this is much more of a college feel offense. However, I will say this. When you take and you switch up the offense and you go with more of a vertical passing attack, I wasn't very, excited about the push we got up front. Sometimes when you switch philosophies and you're going from a downhill running game and play action, and guys are putting their hand in the dirt, firing off the ball, there's a lot more movement up front. There's some holes opening up. But from this perspective, obviously it's game 1. There's rookies and guys that ain't playing that's in the mix. But I didn't see the normal push that I usually see with the Browns. Hopefully that was just a symptom of what was going on. But the passing game and the concepts look good. I think DTR is way more comfortable dropping back, throwing the football. And he showed that if it's between him and Tyler Huntley, DTR is more comfortable being in the gun, throwing the ball 25, 30 times a game. Not necessarily that Tyler Huntley isn't, but I just think his skill set is a little better, and he showed like, hey, I'm a guy. This is the reason why they let him be a backup last year.
Fair.
Speaking of backups, the Browns have made a change at their backup center position. They made a trade yesterday to bring a familiar face back in, and we're going to tell you who that was. After a quick reminder that eBay Motors is a sponsor of this next segment. Passion, drive, and patience, that's the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home some big-time wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Luke Wypler suffered a broken ankle in the Browns preseason game against Green Bay. He was slated to be their backup center. Kevin Stefanski has not yet said whether or not he'll miss the entire season, but about 24 hours after, maybe not even 24 hours, the Browns went out and traded for Nick Harris, bringing him back. Harris had signed with Seattle this offseason on a $2.34 million deal. Jay, Bull, G, it's a backup center. I understand it's not the most important position on the field, but they have brought Nick Harris back in to replace Luke Wypler. Have they done enough to solve the interior offensive line depth without Luke Wypler as Nick Harris? An equal grade. And Bull, I want to start with you.
Go ahead.
Because I know you love this topic, Bull.
Go ahead.
Have they done enough? Have they done enough on the backup center? I mean, they drafted both guys. Nick Harris was a higher pick than Luke Wypler, wasn't he?
He was going to be the starter until he blew his knee
I know,
out
like
in
he's had
Jacksonville.
injury problems. Listen, the season, there's going to be, if they have to go to Nick Harris or Luke Wypler, does it really matter which of the two it is?
No,
I don't know.
does it? I don't
maybe
think
Luke
there's a big
Whipler's
difference.
better, but let this be the biggest problem they have in the preseason. That Luke, I feel bad for him. The guy got, obviously it's serious, even though Kevin Stefanski didn't say it.
Yeah, we haven't heard the timeline yet, right?
Yeah, but you don't go and jump and make that trade
No.
if you thought he was going to be back soon.
Yeah, I would think it was at least 12 weeks, Mike. That's a guess.
It's a guy
It's
who
a broken
knows.
ankle, so it's 3 months.
You
at
went and
least.
got a guy who knows the system. He's been here.
And really, all they did was they gave up a 6th for a 7th.
Yeah, who cares?
I mean, that's so nominal. At that point, you hit on 7s like you hit on 6s. I don't know that there's a huge percentage difference between the two
Probably
rounds.
not.
Probably not.
It's not even a full round because, in theory, I will say that the
get
Seahawks
Seattle,
will be a higher pick in the 7th round than the Browns.
I
will
thought
be in
the same thing.
So you're dropping 20 spots.
If the Browns make a long playoff run and Seattle misses the playoffs, then instead of picking, start from round 6.
Yeah.
Instead of picking, 28th, you might pick 40th.
Yeah, I mean,
so it might
who
be.
cares?
It might be
at that point. It's a total crapshoot anyway.
And it is a nice insurance policy, but I'm looking at this in a little different way, and it's a shame for Nick Harris because I think for the Seahawks to do this, they've already seen he's not the guy
They
we
would
thought.
have probably not keep him,
or they would have kept
Yeah.
him.
Right. Yeah.
So we're getting a guy that's like you said, he's been
Yeah.
injury prone.
Yeah.
I really hate what happened to him and how it happened and
That
everything
was
else.
bad.
But the irony here is when this happened and we went out and got Posich from Seattle.
Yeah.
And he turned in to be a
Saved
Pro
the day.
Bowler.
He's been fantastic.
He was like a free agent, kind of an afterthought.
He had been a bust in Seattle.
Yes.
And here he's been sensational.
So, I mean, look, one of my top 5 fears, and I think we should do this as a segment, top 5 fears heading into the season. In my top 5 is a regression by the offensive line because our guru's gone.
Sure. That's fair.
We're now taking for granted that, the offensive line, check.
Right. That's
because
fair.
we had Bill Callahan, and he was the best to ever do it. And we've had guys, I remember when Lomas Brown was in here, and Lomas Brown said, look, don't underestimate what he means week to week in game planning and in preparation.
No doubt.
And We don't know what that's going to look like.
That's true.
So that's on my list of top 5 fears coming into the season.
fair.
I will say
That's it.
I will say that those guys up there, for the most part, are veterans. But you got Poaches, you got Teller, and you got Batonio. You know, you when you're offensive and defensive lineman, what you do is you take stuff with you. Like the technique stuff, the watching film. They was with Callahan long enough to understand, okay, this is the way we game plan this. So so you got those veteran 3 up there. And the people I'm worried about, I'm worried about 1 or 2 people. And I'm worried about the fact that Jed Wills is nowhere to be found. I don't know what's up with him. But I will say, back to Nick Harris, I'll say this. We know for a fact he's going to get some minutes. He has to be happy as hell because he's coming back and he's a skill position now. He's going to be getting some fullback play. The fullback is live and well. He will be playing on short yardage. Yeah. Nick Harris is like, yeah, I'm back. I might give me some touches this year.
That's right.
He will be.
Will he score a touchdown?
I'm gonna say yes.
Ooh.
Wow.
He'll score a touchdown this year.
I'm not sure if our next guest, who we're going to bring on here in 1 sec, Mike Clay, had a projection for the over/under touchdowns
If
for
he
Nick Harris in a
didn't, Mike,
Browns uniform. But we could ask him in a sec.
If
because
he
he's gonna join
didn't,
us.
I'm sorry, but if he didn't, then we need to cancel this interview with Mike. If he doesn't have a touchdown for Nick Harris in his projections, then he's lost in the soup.
Well, you could ask him yourself in 1 sec. We're going to bring Mike in after a quick word from LinkedIn. Whether you're hiring for a small business or you want to find a quality professionals that are right for the role, the only place to look is LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites, so if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That is linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And with that, we welcome in and are thrilled to have ESPN senior NFL writer Mike Clay joining us. And Mike, I know you heard that last little bit. Did you have a Nick Harris touchdown in your 2024 projections for the Seahawks when you put them out, or if you want to amend it to the Browns now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so look, I came on this show. It's a Cleveland show. I didn't realize you guys would be biased against your own players because I have them with 3 touchdowns. So I don't know what you guys are doing with only 1 touchdown.
We're sleeping on them.
Let me tell you something, though. Let me tell you, this is a big beef I got with ESPN right now. ESPN's fantasy guys like Mike Clay, the great Field Yates, Stephania Bell, all of them, they've been ducking me. They have not allowed me in their fantasy leagues. I'll kick all their asses.
Well, that's why you're not getting in. They're afraid.
Asses.
They're afraid.
That's right. They're scared. I'm the fantasy guru of Cleveland.
Did you win last year?
I did not win last year.
Okay.
But I won the year before. I'm dominating my fantasy baseball league. Mike probably doesn't know who the hell I am. But Field Yates has been on my podcast a number of times. And I want to be, even though nobody that watches will know who I am outside of Cleveland, I want to be in an ESPN fantasy league, and I want to kick all your asses. Mike, what do you have to say about that?
All right, well, look, hey, if you promise to take Nick Harris with your first pick, you're in. I mean, we'll put any amount of money on the line, whatever it takes.
All right.
Mike, when you look at the Browns, first of all, I love how detailed your projections are. I mean, you've got it down to the completions, down to the yards. It really is pretty incredible. I said earlier in this segment, and I don't think this is any shock, I don't think you find an expert nationally that would disagree with this. The biggest single question about the Cleveland Browns is Deshaun Watson, his quarterback play. And I looked at your projections for him, and although not earth-shattering, I think most Browns fans would say we'd take that compared to what we've seen from him in the 11 games he's played in an orange helmet. What makes you think that those numbers, I think it was 23 touchdowns, 11 picks, I could be wrong a little bit, but
21-11.
21-11. Like, how do you come up with that? What's your process?
Yeah, so obviously I'm going to weigh things he's done in the NFL so far. So there's a lean towards what he's done recently. But, guys, the sample's so small because he's been off the field so much. So I'm still looking back to what we've seen throughout his career when he has been healthy. I'm considering the supporting cast. I'm considering the fact that he has pretty good coaching. He has an outstanding offensive line. All those things are variables in this equation. Also, he wasn't that bad last year. Like, he started slow and he had his moments where it was ugly, but he flashed at times as well. He flashed signs that he can get back to where he was before. He also threw for over 200 yards in his last 4 full games, added some value with his legs. All those kind of things are variables here. So I think he still has a shot to get back on track. I'm a little bit more optimistic than some others are, but that's kind of how it all comes together.
Well, listen, 3,700, I've been saying the whole time, if he plays 17 games, I need 4,000 from you, Deshaun. 3,700.
4,000? You've been saying
You would've said
5,000.
5,000.
No. Listen, it's always been 4.
No.
Bare minimum.
It was 45.
Hey,
45.
45.
Yeah,
All right.
All right, we'll split
that's
it.
what I
Let
need.
me tell you something.
That's
Here's
what I
the
need.
deal. Those numbers that Mike has predicted for Deshaun Watson are completely fair based on what we've seen in
I
recent
agree.
years.
No, I agree,
They're more than
actually. I
fair.
agree, yeah.
However, and they're not, again, I'm not saying I'm killing him if he has those seasons. But I've said this once, I'll say it a million times. The Browns
That's not why they brought him here.
traded what they traded and paid him what they paid him to be a superstar.
They did.
Not a good those are good, solid quarterback numbers. Baker Mayfield could put up those numbers for me. They didn't trade for him to be Baker Mayfield.
You're right, Bull.
Those are Baker Mayfield numbers. They're fine. Again, compared to what the last 2 years have been, I can't kill him if that happens. But if that's the best he can give us in his time in Cleveland, that's not good enough.
You don't have to answer that. That wasn't a question. That was a statement.
It really wasn't a question.
That was a statement.
But
I agree.
Let's ask Mike. Do you
But what- I
co-sign
agree,
that?
Mike.
Mike, do you co-sign that? Because Bull's right. We gave up 3 1s, and we paid him. We broke the bank. That's not break the bank numbers.
Yeah, I mean, his last full season in the NFL, guys, he led the NFL in passing yards, right? So we've seen what he can bring to the table, what his ceiling is. That's why you pay that much for a player of that caliber. Not to mention that he was 6th in rushing yards among quarterbacks
That's right.
that final season. So you want the whole package. You gave up all that compensation not to get average or a little below average play. You paid that to get an elite top 5, top 7 NFL quarterback. So I could not agree more. The thing is, guys, though, as I'm sure we'll get to, this roster is very good, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So if he does play average football, they could still contend in the AFC. I mean, last year,
Sure.
I don't think a lot of people realize this, but their offensive efficiency, you look at the advanced metrics, very similar when he played versus when Joe Flacco played. Actually, it was a little bit better with Watson. It didn't seem like it if you were watching the footage, but they had their moments kind of quietly where they were moving the ball. So again, I do still lean on the optimistic side because we've seen it from him before. He's still in his prime. The supporting cast is good, but I agree. If he puts up the numbers I'm projecting, it's going to be an okay season, enough for them to be a contender in the AFC. But it's not what you expected when you paid for paid that huge price for him.
Right.
I'm looking at it from a perspective with Jerry Jeudy coming in. A lot of people here are pessimistic. Not I wouldn't say pessimistic, but they don't think that Jerry Jeudy is a number one guy. When you look at his numbers that you have, where do you have Jerry Jeudy projected in his numbers? Because if Jerry Jeudy turns out to be a guy that is more like the first round pick that they got, Deshaun Watson's numbers go up. If Nick Chubb can come back and be 90% of what Nick Chubb is, Watson looks a lot better. Where do you got Jerry Jeudy in terms of his production this year?
Yeah, my projection right now, 61 catches, 920 yards, 4 touchdowns. I think that's solid, assuming Amari Cooper and David Njoku are healthy, because those guys are obviously going to be feature targets. So if you get 900 out of Jerry Jeudy and the other guys are on the field too, you probably had a pretty darn good season. Not to mention, I like Cedric Tillman a lot too. So I'm hoping he comes along, progresses in year 2, and they get something out of him as well. So yeah, look, I think Jeudy, he's battled injuries himself. He's had to go through quarterback struggles and coaching changes in Denver. 2 years ago, it looked like he was here. He had a big season a couple of years ago. It looked like he was the real deal. Kind of the wheels fell off a little bit last year, but again, a lot was going wrong in Denver last season. They obviously changed quarterbacks during the offseason. So I'm still hopeful. He has a lot of raw talent, and maybe the change of scenery will allow him to get to his ceiling.
Mike, I just completed some guys I know I play with. We just completed a 30-round new dynasty league. And
Wow.
It was crazy. By the third, I think my 30th round pick was actually Michael Thomas. Who knows if he's going to play again? But I mean, for the 30th round, I was taking mostly young guys at the end, but whatever. But I took Nick Chubb who you're predicting, I think 10 games, 700-something yards. I took him with the 121st pick, which I think was the first pick of the 13th round, either the last pick of the 12th round or the first pick of the 13th round. Too high, too low? What do you think about Nick Chubb?
Yeah, you know what? I love the guy like you all do. He's one of the best pure runners in the NFL. I've been kind of out on him like everyone else, at his age, coming off a major injury. And also, here's the thing with Nick Chubb from a fantasy perspective. He is super reliant on the big plays and the efficiency, right? That Hall of Fame level rushing ability because he doesn't do much in the passing game. And they're going to use other backs. Just the nature of how he's been used throughout his career. He's just not too involved in the passing game. So he needs that. So if you say, okay, he's going to come back and play, but he might be 70% of the runner he was, at least in 2024, that's not good enough. That's not good enough from a fantasy perspective. It's going to be hard to rely on him. So I'm leaning pessimistic, but I'm hoping, he gets back out in the field and has another great year, maybe a couple good years. It's going to be tough, though, off this injury and at his age.
Are those numbers that you put together for him, Mike, are you assuming that there's going to be a number of weeks inactive at the beginning? And if so, is that a guess? Are you getting intel? Like, where is all that coming from?
He has him playing 10 games. I saw that.
Okay, so where are you getting – is it just a gut, or are you hearing something that he just won't be ready until October?
No, I'm not hearing anything you guys are not hearing. I'm, speculating here that he'll start on IR or, miss the first month or so of the season. These projections are year-round. They're always fluid, and if we get new information, we adjust. Just this morning, I adjusted for Jalen Phillips in Miami and upped his games played because he's going to start the season in week 1 as opposed to like week 5 coming off that major knee injury. So if we get good news on Chubb tomorrow or today, I will update these accordingly. So again, I've kind of stuck with the 10 games for him for pretty much the whole offseason, assuming that he would miss a chunk of the season to start.
Where do you have Myles Garrett? Myles Garrett, I think he had 14 sacks last year or something. Was it 14
and a half?
14 last year, yeah.
14.
Because I've always been saying I want him to be upwards of 20, and I like to see the tackles for loss to go up a little bit. But he won the defensive year with 14. Where do you have him coming up?
Yeah, I'm pretty conservative with sacks. Part of the reason is injury rates across the NFL, and it's so hard to repeat high ceiling numbers, but still at 12 for Myles Garrett in the projections, which is a high number. 20 is asking a lot, but if anyone can do it, he's certainly on the short list. But I like their edge rushing room. I think it's top 3 in the NFL, maybe the best group in the league. So Garrett's obviously carrying a lot of the weight there. So superstar, I expect another huge season from him, and this whole defense. I think they're the best defense on paper, and I was kind of alone last year on this. I'm sure a few of you were on board. People watching the team closely knew this, but they were my 3rd-ranked defense going into last season on paper, and I think it kind of flew under the radar, but they just had the raw talent, and now I could argue after kind of cementing themselves as an elite defense last year, they are, on paper, the best group in the league.
I'm keeping them, Jay, real quick. I'm in a keeper league where you keep 5 guys, and I'm keeping the Browns team defense at $1. I've never, in 24 years in this keeper league, I've never even considered keeping a defense.
Yeah, it's rare.
But it's $1, and I went for it, so I traded a lot of my young players last year. So
it's hard for me to get that Houston playoff game out of my mind.
Bad. Yeah, that's fair.
And that was our last impression. Like you, I think they're going to be a good defense, top 5 perhaps, but I don't know. I still have questions after what I saw against Houston in the playoff game. I'm wondering, you said when you get new information, Mike, that you can, it's constantly fluid. Are you going to downgrade Amari Cooper's numbers because he's pissed now?
I have not. I have not yet. I'm monitoring the situation very closely, though. It is interesting the rumors that have kind of flown around, especially if they brought in after they brought in Jerry Jeudy this offseason. But no adjustments right now. Cooper kind of he's bounced around a few teams. Conflicting opinions on how good he is over the years. He as consistent as they come. We talk about it in fantasy a lot. He finishes like from 15th to 30th in fantasy points per game every year. Like literally every year of his career, he's finished in that window. So he's never quite gotten over the top to that huge statistical ceiling, but he's never been bad either. He's just really been a really solid, really good player throughout his entire career. So no movement there. I expect him to do what he's always done.
Mike, you also, on top of doing player projections, you do the weekly score projections, the win percentage, and projected win totals. You had the Browns, through your model, winning 10 games, which was the 8th most in the NFL. Are you buying into the Browns as being a legitimate contender in this gauntlet that is the AFC
What kind of
this year?
contender, Mike? Playoff contender or Super Bowl
No,
contender?
if he has the projection as a top 18, that means they'll be one of the top seeds in the AFC. Do you believe this team's good enough to win a Super Bowl?
I think they have the raw talent. Yes, I think I have them actually ranked just grading the units, which I'm working on an article right now. It's going to be up on ESPN. I think later this week or next week, where I grade every unit, every team, write some of those units up as well. I do it every year. Was very optimistic on Cleveland last year, and I'm very optimistic again this season. They come in 5th in those unit rankings, best defense and mid-pack in offense. So how do they get over the top and win the Super Bowl? You guys, it was the first thing you said when I came on. It's the obvious answer. It's the quarterback position. How good is Deshaun Watson? If you're going to compete with Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and even, upstart teams like Houston or even the Jets, who I think are a powerhouse. I think the Jets will be a powerhouse this year. They are absolutely stacked on paper. They have the same question. What are they going to get out of the quarterback? So that's the question. Is Deshaun Watson average? Is he not very good? Is he elite again? Who is he? That's going to really drive home how good the Browns are this year. And by the way, if he does play high ball and he's a top 5, top 10 quarterback, no doubt about it, I think Cleveland will be right there in the running to go to the Super Bowl this year.
Mike, remember you heard it from me first. Everybody's high on the Jets. I'm projecting they are a bust, even though you're right, they have great talent. But Aaron Rodgers is 40, coming off an Achilles tear. Besides Tom Brady, who's played great at 40 years old, I just don't buy it, especially coming off an Achilles tear. That is a devastating injury. I just don't. Everybody loves the Jets, and I get it because the talent around him is really good. I love Breece Hall. You love everybody on that team. I just think Rodgers is going to be, at best, pedestrian this year, in my opinion, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got hurt again. And then what are they doing? I know the players on the team are like, well, we got Tyrod Taylor. Yeah, okay, good luck there. He's better than what you had, but you're not winning anything with Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, look, I hear you, but similar to Cleveland, I think that they have such a good team around him that even if he is average, they can be in contention. Are they going to get over the top and beat like the Niners or the Chiefs? Probably not. If they get average play out of him. But I think that's probably the floor. I think he probably still has another good season in the tank. He looked like he had it last year. I know he's coming off the Achilles, but it's not like he's going to be running the ball, right? We're not talking about a scrambling quarterback here. Sure. He just has to hang in the pocket and get it to these top skill guys. And they couldn't do that. I mean, they've had the league worst quarterback play for years now, just way behind everyone else in quarterback efficiency, offensive efficiency, passing touchdowns, you name it. It's been just dreadful for guys like Garrett Wilson. So even getting average play can move the needle for this team so far because of how good that defense is. Not to mention, last year I was worried about them because the offensive line was a concern, and obviously it was because they just revamped it this past offseason, and it's substantially better now. So I think now, I feel a lot better about them now than I did last year, just because the guys around Rodgers are substantially better.
A lot of similarities between the Browns and the Jets.
Mike. Yep.
Not just this year, but going back the last
Agreed.
couple of decades. Mike, great stuff. Give my best to Field. Tell him that the UCSS crew says hi. And we'll talk, I'm sure, again later this season.
All right, sounds great. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Really good stuff. I like when you get that specific, and you could really, imagine the work that goes into drilling down. And he doesn't just do this for Cleveland; he does it for all of the skills guys.
All his numbers are reasonable. Like he's not using the extremes.
No.
Of
he has a system.
Yeah, right.
And I like what he said about I did look at the body of work that he's put together. And I sort of juxtaposed that with what we've had from him in Cleveland, but it's been such a small sample size.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he said, look, we did see some flashes. You go back to that second half of the Baltimore game, and it was coming, really, he put together his best half as a Brown right after he completed his worst half as a Brown.
Right. By the way, on his projections, oddly, I thought this was interesting, and I'm guessing he does it with every team. He doesn't have a single player playing more than 15 games, at least on offense.
That's how he always does it.
Okay.
Yep.
Like he's kind of building in an injury or whatever for every player.
Well, come to look at it,
very
few quarterbacks. I think 8, 9 teams last year had one starting quarterback.
Right.
Hey, you know what? Listen, I didn't get my calculator out. This is disrespectful. Listen, I should have went to the math earlier. He said 3,700, right?
Yep. In 15 games. He had him playing 15 games.
Man, okay.
That's not great. It's terrible, but
217? That's 217 a game.
Well, that's about where he's been.
No. bro. We're not doing that. We're not going to do that.
We should put up his numbers from last
No,
year.
no,
He
no,
didn't
we're
throw-
not- wait,
Last year, he
no.
didn't throw for 217 again.
That's a Baker Mayfield season right
That
there.
ain't it.
Pretty much.
It
That-
is. It's very similar.
That is not it.
Put up Baker's numbers from last year. They were better than that.
We don't like
But
them
overall, if you average out his numbers over,
That's about
it's
what
about
that looks
what
like.
that
I don't
is.
want
Because
no
with
bet.
Baker, Baker's do a disastrous season this year. Because
Yeah,
he
oh, yeah.
checkerboards it.
Yeah.
Great,
Gee.
awful.
The
Great,
Baker, the
awful.
Baker.
Sorry,
no,
sorry. All right,
no,
sorry.
no.
Go ahead.
The
G,
Baker.
in a Browns uniform,
Yeah.
and I'm taking out the Indianapolis game, not counting that. He's averaged 201.5 yards per game.
Okay.
That's where he is.
So it's an upgrade.
So hold on. And so if you take out the Indianapolis game, that means how many games did he play?
11.
Come on, man. Y'all cats is crazy. These 11 games is the most diabolical 11 I've ever seen.
But what else do we have?
I was at work. That's like you being
That's
like,
all we have the last
what-
4 years.
Hey, look. That's like if I wake up to work 11 days out of 2 months. They be like, but them 11, you be like, bro, but I missed the whole doggone 2 months. That 201, if you look at it, I said 4,500. That might be light. Do you know 4,500
I think
yards?
one time he did say 5,000, Mike.
Listen,
No,
five,
he started at 5, then he backtracked and said.
Okay, because
I'm
I know I saw him
The
in that
four-
chair
four-
one time
45
say,
I-
oh, he's going for 5.
Hey, well, listen, 4,500? That's only 264 a game.
Only, that's the new 300 in the NFL. We don't see 300-yard passing games
Well,
anymore.
we didn't last year a
We
lot.
didn't last year.
Well, we
260.
did.
How
I
many
mean,
300-yard
come on,
passing
man.
games were there last year?
I don't know.
Patrick Mahomes only did it a couple times.
I don't know, but
and he's
will
the 300-yard poster child.
Will that
Deshaun-
continue this year?
Deshaun, I'm
We'll see.
telling you, bro. I think, listen, he's laughing right now. He's laughing right now.
I hope so.
He's laughing aside like, okay. I think he's taking screenshots. I think he's being petty. too.
Listen, I hope you're right.
He's been 264, my bro. Hey, all we need you to do, and
Well, he didn't predict 264. He predicted 270.
What
don't
is
care
his
what-
highest passing total in a game for the Cleveland Browns in those 11 games?
I think he had one 300-yard game, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was 299.
I don't remember a 300-yard
I
game.
can tell. I'll pull it up right now. I got the game live.
I don't remember
It was Tennessee, and they should have been it should have been 300, but they called Amari Cooper.
The
was
Amari
out of bounds.
Cooper one, yeah.
That was 300. That was a 300 right there. 264.
See,
Come on.
he had 11 shots to get to 300, and he did it once. I don't know. To
There was
Bull's
only-
point, that's all we have.
There's only one quarterback in the NFL that averaged over 300 yards per game last year. Do you know who he is?
Who?
Oh, wait. For more than like 10 games, right?
It's Joe Flacco.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say Joe did it, but it wasn't for
Of the guys who played double-digit games, we'll say. You want to cut it at double, or you want me to be higher?
Yeah, I think 10 is good.
Double
Okay.
digits is good, Ball, because I'm looking at the same list.
So
as
the
you.
highest average yards per game of double-digit guys, because Kirk Cousins did 291, but he missed half the season.
Sure.
He was like 7 or 8 games. C.J. Stroud was the highest.
At?
He averaged 273.9.
So to my point, Bull, once upon a time, there were multiple quarterbacks
Right.
every year that averaged 300.
I wonder.
And I think those days are gone. 250 might be the new 300.
2022 was only Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Was over.
Now
over
go back to
300.
2017.
The last time there was multiple.
Go back to 2017.
Last time there was multiple was 2020 when Deshaun Mahomes and Prescott all averaged.
But now go back even further to the real passing era, like 17.
17?
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
18.
3.
19.
3. But Matt Ryan was 298.
Okay, now go back the other way. I'm thinking when
but
Favre and Manning
But I
and
bet
Brady.
in some of those years there were a bunch of guys in the 280s and 290s.
If he,
Yeah.
but we didn't even have anyone there last year.
I don't think it's going to – I think it could start changing back again. I think the kickoff rules could ultimately have better starting field position, which could lead – defenses have adjusted. The league wants offense, though, so they're going to continue to do more things to create more offense.
It's like baseball, really. It's a constant game of cat and mouse. Teams spent so many resources on building offenses that it became a pinball machine.
Yep.
And I just go back to, I think the apex of that was the Buffalo-Kansas City game. And I think the last couple of years in the draft, teams have said, we've got to do something about this. We've got to get better on defense. We've put more resources into defenses. And those 300-yard passing games that used to be commonplace are now somewhat rare.
Now, I will say this. There were 7 guys that averaged between 261 and 274 yards per game. 7.
Yeah, but
that's a quarter of the
like,
league.
I know, but
that's down.
it is
but
down.
like there wasn't 7 guys averaging 300.
I got you. Yeah, I got you.
Stroud, Tua,
I
Jared
wonder
Goff,
what the most was. What was the
Yeah,
season that
I
had
don't
the
know.
most 300-yard passing
Purdy,
games?
Dak, Stafford, and Mahomes averaged
Because,
between
I mean, when you
261
think back to,
274.
like, Marino, Roethlisberger,
Yeah.
Brady, Favre.
2011, Jay, there's 5. That's the
Okay.
most I could find.
Now think
in a
about
quick-
that.
In a real quick search.
That's 18% of the league was averaging 300 yards
Yeah.
per game.
2004, there were none. The leader was Dante Culpepper. He averaged 294.5.
Well, what I want to say is we bringing it back to Deshaun Watson. If he throw for 45, don't you move these goalposts. I don't want to hear not one person in that chat, online, Twitter, talk about empty stats. Don't you empty stat me.
Well, first of all,
Don't you empty
But
stat
it's got to
me.
go both ways, G.
Don't
Yeah,
you
it does
empty
have to go
stats
both
me.
Gotta go both ways.
If he's throwing for 200 a game, you got to own it.
If he's throwing for 200, so here's the thing.
Because that's where he is. And it's Cleveland Browns player. He's 200 a game.
If he's throwing for 200 a game and the Browns is in first place in the division and winning, y'all got to pick which one.
No.
No,
Because if
no,
empty
no.
stats don't count, winning without touchdowns don't count.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so you both got to own them.
That's what
So
I'm saying.
if they're 9-1 and he's throwing for 200 yards a game, it's not
nah,
because he's throwing for 200 yards a game that they're 9-1.
We're not doing that. I'm just so what I'm saying is if
Yeah.
I'm gonna stand on my 45,
Yes.
Don't be saying if the
Well, you're
Browns.
not going to hear that from anybody here.
But
And here's the thing. In Houston, he was throwing for 300 yards a game and they won 3 or 4 games. But
that
that's
was
not
only-
going to happen here
but
because
wait.
the defense is too
True,
good.
but
but
that's
that was
what I'm
only
saying.
1 year.
That was
It was 1 year,
But
right.
I never, not once from me, discounted what he did that year. He played great. The team sucked around
you
him.
could lose.
And the 2 years before that, he put up big numbers, and they were good.
So it got to go.
So-
So I'm not going to come on here if he throwing for 201 and they win, and I'm like, no, I need more because guess what?
Yeah.
It's going to come upon a time when we need that production.
They're not going to, as talented as they are, they're not going to be 9-1 if he's averaging 200 yards a game. I just don't see that.
No, maybe 7-3.
They'll still be good, but not, they're not going to be 9-1.
I think Mike said it best. The reason he's got the Browns in his 8 that could win a Super Bowl,
Right.
It's very simple. The roster around him is elite.
Right.
Last year, with this roster, they went to the playoffs with 5 different quarterbacks.
Right, but ultimately they lost in the playoffs
Because they didn't
Yeah.
have the quarterback.
You got to have the quarterback.
And here's the thing, too. Even if they make a successful season and he averages 200 yards a game, unless it's a Super Bowl appearance, you can't say then going into season 4 that we got our guy, that the trade worked out and everything.
That is why they always talked about it. They got them commercials. Size matters. Size matters.
Damn right.
Yeah, it does.
And guess what? Them
Numbers matter.
Them numbers matter. Don't let them amp you up. It's fool's gold. They'll tell you it's about winning. They'll tell you it's all about the team.
Our guy Earl is
our
guy Earl or my guy Xavier P on Twitter that pulled that nonsense already.
No, you got to listen. You know where you come from. You come from Clemson. Throwing for 200 yards ain't going to beat Alabama. You know what it is. Don't let them amp you up.
It's not going to win a
and
Super
it's not
Bowl.
going to be the Bengals or the Ravens. Give me that 4,500, and you can put this to bed.
I can
Because you can come into
guarantee
next year and say, everybody shut up.
I can guarantee you, whatever, if he's got, did he say it was 8 teams that he had could win a Super Bowl? Is that what he said?
He said they're in his final 8,
Okay. However
which
many,
is divisional playoff round.
however many teams you think can win the Super Bowl, and I think it's a little more than 8, but whatever.
I do too.
Let's say it's 10.
I do too. It's
The
definitely
Browns and
double
the
digits.
Jets are the only 2 in that group that you're not sure at all about the quarterback.
Yes. So that's why they'd be at the bottom of that group.
Right.
And really, the Jets and the Browns, Bull, they're really
They're very
are
similar.
cousins. They're first cousins, what
Yeah.
they're doing. They've
Obviously-
got so much talent on the roster. And they've got a quarterback that once upon a time was really, really good.
That's right.
And now they just don't know what they have.
With Deshaun, it's inconsistent play and injury. With Rodgers, it's old and injury.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so.
Right.
That was fascinating. And shout out to Mike Clay for putting those
Yeah, good
together.
job.
You can find it online. It is free. Just go on his Twitter. It's pinned. You can see the projections for every player on every team. And I hope he updates the Nick Harris stats to indicate what he
3
said on the show
touchdowns.
That's right.
earlier. We're going to get to our next topic here after a quick word from FanDuel. You guys know I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop, but as the summer gets deeper and deeper and we get further and further away from the NBA season and things like that, we just get fewer games and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to, but FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone fun every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball and the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We'll spend 5 minutes real quick to put a cap on the Packers preseason game, but we saw the debuts of some talented rookies for the Browns, Michael Hall Jr., Zach Sinter, and Jamari Thrash. In specific here, what'd you like from the rookies in their unofficial but official NFL debuts on Saturday against Green Bay?
Well, listen, another one that we talked about, the camp battles.
And another one.
And in DJ Khaled, another one. Jamari Thrash. Okay, I see what you're doing out here. I see what you're doing. David Bell.
You better start looking for a job.
You might want to get healthy.
No, I'm serious,
and quickly.
Yeah, I mean outside of football.
And quickly.
I mean.
Because
Career.
Jamari Thrash looked like he was out there like he was a veteran. It's like what I said about Jalen Tyson. I said, look, he just looked the part. He looked like ain't nothing overwhelming him. It looked like he's ready to go. And I thought he caught the ball well. I thought he ran good routes, crisp routes. This guy gonna get some minutes. This guy gonna play. Him and Cedric Tillman is moving up the depth chart as well. And I'm gonna tell you like this too. Elijah Moore.
Number 8's in trouble.
Elijah Moore. I'm telling you, bro. You better be in that training room, ready to go. When you get ready, your people is calling you like, hey, bro, you good today? I'm just making sure you got your ankles taped. You good? Is you good? Because you're going to need to come with something today.
That's an under-the-radar terrible trade by the Browns last year.
I don't even think it's under the radar. I think it's blinking. Bad trade.
Dropping, like we talk about dropping from the 6th to 7th round, who cares? But dropping from the 2nd to 3rd round to get Elijah Moore was really not good.
They went and got Jerry Jeudy this year. Because
Which
of that,
tells you it was a bad trade.
Because he was supposed to get that. He was supposed to get the money that Jerry Jeudy got. He didn't do it.
I agree with you, by the way. I think
real
Thrash
quick, do you know
is
what
a real
Elijah
deal.
Moore's projections are by Mike Clay? We didn't ask him about
No,
this.
I'd be curious to see them.
300 yards.
28 catches, 367.
Yeah.
Middling.
That's nothing.
That's Minimowski.
Yeah.
That's not even mild sauce. That's medium sauce.
That's the 4th wide receiver.
We were on Friday. I know you weren't here, but we were. I was really praising Andrew Berry for the work that he's done. And this was all around the conversation. Michael Hall, as you know, Zadarius Smith said, gosh, he's got a little bit of Aaron Donald in him. I wish he wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, right,
but,
sure.
So it got us talking. Yeah. And we said, look, he does look good. If he hits, I think Andrew Berry has kept this franchise in the position that it's in because he gave up the 3 first rounds, but he's really hit on some of these later picks. JOK. Jones. I think that Michael Hall, it's early on him, but I think he's going to be a guy so I think he's done a great job with some of these picks, but the Achilles heel for this team continues to be wide receiver and how we assess talent.
Yeah.
And that goes to show you, and we'll talk about this later.
And maybe Thrash breaks that.
When those when that trade came out and they talked about what it was the Browns offered for Brandon
That's
Ayuk,
a lot.
I said, whoa.
I wouldn't have had a problem with it, but
I would have because of it goes to his point. They got a problem with receivers, and they were so thirsty to get him locked up so they ain't got to go back to the draft.
But unlike the other guys they've acquired besides Amari Cooper, Brandon Ayuk is coming off a Pro Bowl caliber seat.
He is.
Beyond that, an all-pro
season. You know what scares me, though, about that, Bull? I know that the age difference is why you would do it. Because when you look at the numbers from last year, they're identical. They're literally identical.
No, I mean, Ayuk's is a little better, but...
Well, he played one more game than Cooper.
Yeah. But that's part of it.
30 less targets, though.
If you do the per-game averages, they're essentially the same guy. Ayuk is younger. But where I'm going with this is all they have done since Amari Cooper put up the best season he's had in Cleveland is tell him they don't want him anymore.
Yeah, I think in the end it'll be fine. I know we're going to get to that. But what I'll say, Jay started the show with take everything on the preseason with a grain of salt, and that's true. I can't get excited about Jamari Thrash because what I'll say is, like before you said, is there a check mark? Would I rather Deshaun Watson play or rather him not? You check. If my check mark is, did you like what Jamari Thrash did or you didn't like it, I would check the I like what he did.
That's what we're doing here. Right. We're not proclaiming him the next superstar.
But 3 catches from DTR against third-string corners, I can't get carried away.
Right, but you know what? Like a lot of times in baseball, you forget the result and you look at the at-bat.
Sure.
Like I know you watch it that way. I watch
Right.
it that way. I
Right.
can watch an at-bat. Guy can fly out to left field.
Right.
But, he saw pitches. He fouled some pitches off.
Right.
His discipline at the plate was good. I'll say that's a plus at-bat.
But
and I think for Thrash,
Right.
if you watch I watch the routes more than anything. Everything looked crisp. And to your point, he looks like he belongs. He passes the look test.
Like he
And
just
so, no, I'm not going to do backflips, but did I like what I saw? Did I like what I saw out of him? Yeah,
Yes.
I liked what I saw.
But what I'll say is, and I'll use your baseball analogy here. Like, I might have a young player, and in spring training, he hit 4 home runs.
Yeah.
And let's say he hit those 4 home runs off veteran good pitchers. Well, maybe those pitchers were only throwing curveballs with 2 strikes.
Just
that
working
day.
on one thing.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
knows?
Right.
I don't know what the Packers secondary was doing at that point. The route running, that's something you could see. Doesn't matter who he's playing against.
You're right.
Now I will say Zach Zenner. Now look, for me, when I was looking at his offensive lineman, gotta get a little stronger. But that's the big no. When you play,
Wait, what'd you say?
Gotta get a little stronger.
Okay, yeah.
Little stronger. He was downfield on a couple plays, working on driving and finishing blocks a little bit.
Right.
But when you play guard or center
Yeah.
in the NFL, them is grown men in there. Like that ain't
That's not uncommon for a young
lineman
to have to get stronger.
You know what I'm saying? That is not something you come in and just I'm gonna be.
He's not playing Northwestern anymore.
No, same with Mike Hall, right? Mike Hall, you was utilizing his quickness, and he was able to get in on a couple plays. But if you had to play Mike Hall Jr. every single down, you'd be in trouble a little bit because they're gonna double team him, they're gonna block him, they're gonna scheme him up a little bit. But I like this quickness. You'll start to pay dividends. Mike Hall Jr. It will look awesome on 3rd down when you got Myles Garrett out there. Now it's makeup. Now it's like
Dalvin Tomlinson. next to him,
next to him. Now it's like, I don't got to worry about the rest of the guys. I got a one-on-one. I'm just worried about trying to get off the ball, and they're going to have a lot of exotic different stunts and twists. Jim Schwartz, I look like he just came out and was like, we're going to run high school stuff. Like, these dudes was out there getting blocked up. I said, but that's to be expected, right? So, they showed me something, but for me, I thought Thrash looked the part, but that is also to be in college. They're running in 7-on-7. These kids come in ready. These guys have been running these plays forever. Those guys are going to be more advanced than guys up front.
He had a nice year last year too.
Very nice.
I mean, I know it doesn't always translate, but he's a proven commodity at the college level. And to me, I thought, like you said, he didn't look out of place. There's times when I watch David Bell where I'm like, wow, this dude was the Big Ten receiver. It's
hard to believe.
Sometimes it'd be like he's in quicksand. I'm like, you got it.
I think it's.
I was just going to say he looks like such a stiff.
He just doesn't look the part.
Get it going. It's no quick twitch like in the league.
He's not making the team, I don't think.
I don't think he is. I think he's the new Anthony
Well,
Schwartz.
all right, so let's say, obviously you got Cooper. Obviously you got Jerry Jeudy. We know Jamari Thrash is making the team. We know Cedric Tillman's making the team.
So it's between Bell and.
So how many more spots? You got 2
I
more
think 5.
spots.
Elijah Moore, you didn't mention him, Bull.
Elijah Moore. Is he definitely making the team?
Who?
Elijah Moore?
Oh,
I don't know that he's definitely making
He's
the
gonna
team.
make the team.
I think probably, but
gonna
okay,
make
let's
the
say
team.
he's definite. So
He's gonna make
5.
the team.
Most teams go with 6 receivers. Is that fair, Mike? Some go with 7.
Usually six is pretty typical.
Okay, so who's battling David Bell for the last
Mike Woods.
spot? Mike Woods.
And I thought he
will get the 6th spot. I don't know,
Mike Woods
but-
made a couple grabs. But Stefanski loves David Bell.
Yeah.
He likes him. He doesn't do anything flashy.
Yeah.
And coaches get guys that I just like you.
By the way, one last thing
Andrew
on the
Berry likes him,
preseason
too.
game. We know that every year there is
We don't have that this year.
Wait, there's a random white dude battling for a roster spot or whatever that fans get excited
Yeah, but
about.
normally it's a wide receiver.
Yes, this case, I can't even think of his name.
He's
He's a safety.
He's a DB.
He's a safety. Who?
Breeze.
Breeze. He had 11 tackles.
Yeah, Breeze.
And he had a sack. Didn't he have a sack?
Breeze.
Did he have
Tackle
a
for
sack
loss.
too?
Did he have a tackle for loss?
I thought he had a sack.
Hey, and he got a cool name.
Check that for me, Mike. I think Breeze had a sack.
A white corner named Breeze. That's
That-
fire.
That's sweet.
He's a safety.
right?
Let's not get crazy, G.
Safety, not corner.
Dustin Fox is the last white
Dustin
corner.
Fox was the last white corner.
Last
in the
white
NFL.
corner. Last of a dying breed.
No,
He did have a sack.
Jason
Bull, you were
Seymour-
correct. He had a sack. Brady Breeze. What a good
Brady
name.
Breeze, man.
He's not
a rookie.
No.
I think he got
26.
drafted. Yeah.
He was a 2021 sixth-round pick out of Oregon.
Not by the Browns.
By the
but-
Tennessee Titans.
Right.
Oh, he's probably been with 5 teams.
We
at least.
tripping. The kid from Iowa just got picked this year.
Yeah, Cooper
Hey,
DeJean.
that
he's
kid
gonna be
is
good.
going to be a player.
And he returns punts.
That kid was
so
like
he's half
all
black.
state in baseball, football, and basketball.
Yeah,
His basketball
And
highlights are
trap.
filthy.
I saw his basketball
Yo.
reel. I'm like, this kid
He
is
can
a
hoop.
baller.
I know he's like a brother to me, so I'm a little biased, but I didn't know him at the time. Dustin would have had a bet. He ended up on the wrong team. He got drafted by the wrong
he was
team.
dealt to. He had a couple shots too, though.
Yeah,
didn't
he got injured his first year.
Right.
In those days, you went on IR, you were out for the season.
Yeah, that was
He
it.
was ready to play by the first week, but he got hurt at the beginning of camp, and he was a 3rd-round pick.
he? Yeah.
And had he been drafted by a different team, I think he would have had a longer career. But
Hey, that's the way it goes in the NFL. It's all about
there's a lot
who
of
get
guys like
drafted
that. There's
that.
a lot. You got to be in the right
Got
spot.
to be in the right spot. Got to
They
go to the
changed
right
coaches
team.
after his rookie year, and it was that was it.
Oftentimes too when they change general managers.
Yeah.
You're like, he's not your guy.
Drafted in the 3rd round, he never played a game for the team that drafted him. And 3rd-round pick.
That's rare.
Yeah.
Very rare.
So anyway, go ahead, Mike.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the new Cleveland Browns Stadium because that saga took another twist and turn over the weekend. And we're going to bring this segment to you,
did it.
brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style. eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for, and with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home some big-time wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. So in case you missed it over the weekend, Cuyahoga County sent out a letter to the Haslams and the Browns, essentially stating, and Steve, you can take social news desk full. I'm not going to read it. It's too small to read. Essentially saying they cannot support the Brook Park Dome project. They are fully backing the city's proposal to renovate the downtown location, to which the Haslams then responded, saying they are still considering all options. They've yet to make a full decision. They look forward to working with the city and the county on figuring out the best place for a new stadium. Jay, I know you are the official patent holder of the BS translator machine.
Yeah, I invented it.
I would love for you to put the county and what they said and then the Haslams and their response through the BS translator to help us really understand at a kindergarten level what's kind of happening.
I can do that.
Thank you so
if I took the Browns letter and ran it through, or I'm sorry, the county, I'm gonna equate this to a divorce, because it feels more and more like there's divorce, and the Haslams are the party that want out, but the party that is just sort of hanging on is doing so for financial reasons, not necessarily out of love. And the county basically responded to the divorce filing this way. Oh, you want out?
Not so fast.
You're going to pay for it.
Yeah, well.
You're going to pay big for it. And by the way, that new girlfriend that you were looking at, the county, that you thought would supplant the money that was coming from the city, I told them all your flaws. Yeah. I'm not going to get personal.
That's right.
I told them all your flaws. And now they're not so pretty. You're not so pretty to them anymore. And so it feels to me like it's the city and the county now that are coalescing,
Yeah.
telling the Browns, no, we're not good with this. This isn't going to work for us. So now there's another mistress in the mix down in Columbus. So now Jimmy and Dee have to bust tail down to the governor with their hat out.
Well,
And it's never a good look, by the way, when billionaires are begging. It's not a good look.
No,
But But I think that they'll have a better ear for it.
Oh, they definitely.
Well,
in Columbus, they don't hear him.
And here's why. It can be financially,
Yeah.
it can benefit the state.
But let's be honest about the politics here, not to make
Can't
it
ignore
about
them.
politics.
Well, you're right. You can't ignore them.
The city is run by Democrats. The county is run by Democrats.
Right.
The state is run by Republicans.
100%.
So that makes a difference here.
It does make a difference.
Republicans tend to be more billionaire friendly.
Absolutely. And business friendly.
They would say
I would disagree with that, but
what they're looking at, and this is ultimately, I'm
Yeah.
afraid that this is the way it's going to work out. The governor's going to say, what do you need? And there's ways to do it. I was talking to, I don't know, once you get into the deep weeds here, I'm over my head. And there are very few people that understand all of it.
Sure, of course.
Mark
It's very
Namick is one of them. Mark
complicated.
Namick was a former Cleveland Plain Dealer writer. He's covered this issue and this team and finances in the city for 30 years. After his days at the Plain Dealer, he was here as an investigative and more city policy economic stories. Now he works for another entity. He started a new journalistic venture, and he's doing the same thing there, and they're having success. I talked to him, I don't want to say at length, maybe 20 minutes on Friday about this issue. And he made it very clear what's going on. And it's basically what I thought was going on, it's what I just said. There are, and I don't want to get into the politics of is it business friendly or is it billionaire friendly. There are studies that the governor's going to show that how this will be a financial driver. The one thing in the mix for the Haslams that they have going for them is that this will land Cleveland a Super Bowl. And with that comes a price tag that doesn't start with the M, it starts with the B.
Right, but
financial stimulus.
But he doesn't have the leverage that a lot of other owners do in terms of he can't take the team out of the state.
He does not have that.
Yeah, which is a smart move by the state.
You are kidding.
Got that done.
Yes. And that's a big, you can't undersell that point.
Right.
Because in the past when teams have done that, they had the hammer saying, we'll leave. They don't have that hammer.
It is going to happen when Amazon comes to your town and they said, I want to build a world headquarters in your town. You know what they're going to tell them? Well, I want subsidies. I don't want to pay no taxes.
Sure.
And I want this, that, and the third. And they say, okay, well, it's Amazon. How many jobs are you going to bring up here? And guess what? They get what they want. Amazon
not always. Because remember what happened in New York.
Yes.
It's exactly what you're talking about. They were going to bring 10,000 jobs to a county. And the politician in that area said, we don't want you in our area because we're not giving you tax breaks.
Right.
That's being naive and short-sighted because guess what?
But
there
that
was
complicated.
A list. But Bull,
Yeah.
there were 350 counties that said, we'll take you for that.
But
now,
but shouldn't big companies be paying their fair share of
Bull,
taxes?
I couldn't agree with you more, but the reality of it is this.
Yeah.
When America didn't give those companies tax breaks, they went to China and got them.
Well, that's on them.
But
you're right.
That's un-American to do that.
You're absolutely right, but they're counting beans.
But
we're not. They're counting beans.
We're not
So
talking.
should the cities
We're
and the
not
states
talking. We're not talking about regular businesses though.
Yeah.
When you throw on the fact that it's NFL,
Yes.
and it's the Cleveland Browns,
and their antitrust.
that moves stuff.
I think in the end, and I don't know enough about the inner workings.
Right.
My guess is Jimmy's got to pony up a little more money.
I agree with
There
that.
it is.
But they still end. He's not going to have to pay for the whole thing, even though in a perfect world he should.
I agree.
But in the end, he's going to probably have to pony up a little more to make it more palatable for the county.
So the question here is, and we'll find out as time goes on, what is his pain threshold?
Right.
What is that number? Now, I made a point when he bought the Milwaukee Bucks on this show the next day, when the number was floated out that he paid several hundred million.
Right. Yeah.
What I said was, to me, that's it. That's a fait accompli. He cannot get funds from the city, the county, or the state. Why? Because he just took $450 million or whatever that number was and invested it in one of our competitors.
Right.
He didn't buy the Sacramento Kings.
No.
He bought a team in our division.
Right.
That'd be like if Dolan bought the Bengals.
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine? That's. I mean, it sounds dramatic, but that's exactly what happened here.
Right.
And now you're going to come out with your billionaire hat and say, city, what you got?
Yeah.
County, what you got? Okay. State, what you
right.
got?
What do you think they're used to getting that? They're going to get that again.
They are, but let me ask you guys this question. Do you feel that the worm is turned on publicly funded stadiums, either through tax initiatives or bonuses from the state, not kickbacks, but preferential treatment from the state? They're done going to the ballot box.
Right, because they never win on
Because
that.
they're not going to win.
Well, they used to.
Right,
Yes.
not anymore.
But look at what happened in Kansas City.
Right.
They wanted to do a mutual project with the Royals,
Yeah.
who are improving fast
Yes.
in a hurry.
going to the playoffs, I
and the
think.
Chiefs, which are the dynasty
Yeah.
team of today. And the voters overwhelmingly said, no.
Even in this football-obsessed city, it
Even
would
in this-
lose. Otherwise, they would have done it.
You're right.
Yes.
So here's
And
what-
they said no.
Yeah.
So Haslam saw that.
Right.
And now they know, well, we can indirectly make them pay for it through money from the city, state, or
Yeah.
look, where's that money coming from?
And
Right,
If the
right,
state
yeah.
gives them money, where's
yeah.
it coming
Can,
from?
Right.
Can I just keep it real though? Like I think it's wild that like yes, the city is saying no, we're not going to give this money to the stadium. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do this.
Well, the city won't have to give anything.
but
if
no,
it's Brook Park.
But
No.
we talk about the
Yeah.
But they
county.
would likely on a renovation.
The wild
Right,
part.
sure,
the
yeah.
wild part about this is they're not all that money that they're going to spend for that. They're acting like that money is coming to regular everyday people. It's not.
No.
Like you're not getting new books.
No.
You're not getting new field trips for schools. You're not getting teachers' raises. You're not getting firefighters.
Hell, school lunch.
School free lunch. The part about this is when they wrote in that letter, we feel like this money, we can't fiscally do it because we feel like we're not in a financial place to do something like that with that money. It's not spending the money in the right place. The Browns have been there since '99. First and foremost, they put the stadium up. The stadium's not going to last another 30 years. It ain't. Look, you're sinking bad money into a bad product.
That's why I don't think that's even an option.
That's not
for
even an
I
option.
think
Nah,
the
yeah,
Haslams
yeah.
know that.
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Here's what you're doing. You're driving a 1989 Ford Escort, and they just pulled up a Maserati, and they
Right.
said, here's the deal. We can put $1.2 million into the Ford Escort, or we can just take 2.4 and give you the Maserati.
Yeah.
What do you think they're going to do?
In the end, it's all posturing.
It is.
Politicians'
It's a game of
posture,
chicken is what I called it Friday.
Owners' posture. They're all going to tell you they care about the people, and all the politicians, Republicans, Democrats, billionaire owners. They're going to tell you it's for the people. It's for the people. It's
No,
for
it's
the
not.
people.
It's for them.
No, it's not for
and
any.
Bull,
Yeah.
that's a great point. Because that is how they're going to sell it to the people.
Right.
And now they're doing, this is moving at warp speed, guys.
Yeah.
These
I
events
think
are
the
happening.
fans want it. I think the majority of fans
I was
want it.
going to ask you.
Yes, yeah,
I
yes.
believe that the fans want it too. Here's one of the things that
Yeah.
I don't want it if we have to pay for it. This is business.
Yeah.
And everybody says, hey, you know what? We live in a free and open society
Yeah.
and make what you can make. I agree. If that's the case, don't get federally funded money.
Yeah.
You want to do this? Then you take 100% of the risk, which, by the way, there's not much risk.
There's
here.
no risk.
There's no risk.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
everybody, if we all had Haslam money, you know what we would all say? Build it.
You know how rich.
But they know
That's right.
that the state is going to write a check.
Right.
And they're going to, so what they're trying to do as billionaires is squeeze money out of city government and state government and county government that desperately need to put those dollars somewhere else. Now,
right.
when you juxtapose it with this, we're going to get a Super Bowl. Well, Cleveland and Super Bowl have never appeared in the same
Never
sentence.
even fathomed.
Never.
I mean, yeah.
It's always been a dream.
Yeah.
Maybe Cleveland can make the Super Bowl. You've never seen a sentence that says one of the following: Cleveland is in the Super Bowl, or the Super Bowl is in Cleveland.
Never.
We can almost guarantee. In fact, I was told Friday that Jimmy's getting calls from the league. They're pressing him, get this done. What is the league all about? New and pretty shiny
right.
venues.
That's
and
right.
they always deliver a Super Bowl, at least one, to the Minnesotas, to the Detroits,
Yeah.
even to New York, which was the first open-air cold weather Super Bowl.
Right.
Cleveland's not getting one of those.
And by the way, the New York Stadium is ugly.
It sucks.
I think it
It's
is too.
awful.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
But Cleveland's not getting what New York
Not-
got.
not
They got
outdoors.
it because they're New York.
Yeah.
They'll never take that risk
Oh,
again.
no chance.
If this new stadium comes to fruition,
Yeah.
there will be a Super Bowl here
Yes.
in the next 10 years.
Of course. Yeah.
And you
I
can
know.
you can book that. Now, what does that mean when you start doing the research on what kind of money that brings into your city and what the free advertising for your city is worth? I believe that number begins with a B, not an M.
I think in the end it'll be worked out. He's going to have to pay more of a percentage.
I
though,
agree with
think.
you.
Yeah.
The people.
I don't want him getting a free pass.
No.
Well, here's how rich people get rich. They use other people's money.
1,000%.
Yes.
That like he's going to use that money. Like, listen, it's because
Primarily because politicians let them.
yes.
So if you live in the county, you have a voice. Call your county commissioners and tell
Yeah.
them, I don't want them getting one nickel of my money. They're billionaires.
Yeah,
And
that's
they're
right.
going to be even more billionaires after the stadium is done.
That's right.
They have the money, and we know they have
it.
the money because they spent a lot of it on another basketball team that directly competes with
That's
us.
right. Go get that money back.
But no, hold
Yes.
on.
It's already worth more than he paid it.
Sell your
Let's be clear.
stake in the Bucks.
That's
Let
right.
you get
and
it.
take
Hold
that
on,
money and make a
Yeah,
stake.
sorry,
Hold on.
Go.
Let-
chime in.
Hold on. Let's be clear. All these calling these politicians down at the county, let's be clear. The city of Cleveland had an opportunity to remedy this from the jump street. That team been there since '99. They've done nothing to do anything with the lakefront. Nothing. Zero. Zero.
Well, that's not true.
What?
There's been some. I mean, how much can you do?
It's close to true, Bull.
What did
Yeah,
they
but
do?
how
There's
much
been no
can you do?
development.
What is there?
On
You
Friday,
can't blame the current mayor for that.
But I'm
though.
just
No,
saying.
you can,
The
no.
last mayor.
But
all
I'm saying-
And in fact, let's give Mayor Bibb some credit because
Yeah.
Mayor Bibb has moved that piece on the
Yes.
chessboard more than it was moved in the previous 20
The
years.
last mayor you want to
because
criticize
Jackson-
him, that's
but
fair.
it's
No,
still-
Mayor
it's
Jackson
still-
was asleep at
it's
that point.
still, It's still.
G, keep going. G,
It's
keep going.
still a net zero. If you're going to do business, you have to come in and say, what do we have around this place to draw people to
Right.
not only make it be worthwhile, but to grow the city? You've done none of that. You haven't grown the city. People are leaving the city. Like, it's not like the Browns are doing something nominal. Other businesses are leaving. Other places are going.
Gee,
So my thing is
people
that
are coming back to the city,
Yes,
though.
yes.
That trend has been stopped.
And the city
But-
is better than it was 15 years ago.
It is. Better than it was 5 years
But
ago.
Yeah.
you still have to compete for businesses.
You're right.
Like,
Yeah,
you see
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my thing is, this was always coming.
Yes.
They've always known it. Now to put to kibosh it now, that sounds cool, but all they're gonna do is say, look, we have the economic numbers that's going to say this place is going to bring us billions and billions and billions of dollars over putting money into
think-
this, and it's not going to, it don't make no sense.
I think we all agree. I just think, and I'm with you, Jay, and I'm sure you feel this way too. In the end, I want Jimmy to pay for the whole thing.
I do.
We all want it,
or as much of it
as it is possible.
Yes.
They can,
and by the way, there are stadiums that have been. I believe SoFi was completely privately
SoFi.
funded.
Yeah, right.
And so here's the thing. We talked about this on Friday. I'll give you the cliff notes. You know this. It's rich people getting more and more greedy. They want more.
Yes.
They're already, their pockets are, money's falling out of them.
Yeah.
But you know what? The Browns and all the other teams have seen what's gone on in Los Angeles. It's not just a stadium. It's a Disney World.
Yes.
It's a football theme park, and there's restaurants, and there's Topgolfs, and there's entertainment,
And he keeps
there's
all the
hotels.
profit. He keeps everything.
And I got it all.
Yeah,
I want
yeah,
all of it. Give me
yeah.
all of it. And what Jimmy's saying is, oh, I want that. And I can never have that in Cleveland. Now, this is an excuse, but it's a fair excuse. As far as the development of Cleveland's lakefront goes, we are cut off by a highway. That is, that is a huge, huge problem to
And
overcome.
that airport is
airport is a white elephant. Get rid of it and develop it. Now, you still have the problem of how do I get there from here?
Yeah.
And Mayor Bibb's plan has a walking bridge. Not the perfect idea,
Sure.
but it does eliminate the problem, or at least minimizes the problem, of getting from where the population hub is to where the entertainment is. So it's never going to be SoFi. It's never going to be Chicago's waterfront.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
But it should be, and it will be much better than it is now.
Yeah.
The big question at this part is, are the Browns the centralized piece of that plan? And if they're not, that's okay. Talk to Mike Polk about this, who also studies these issues very closely. He did a tongue-in-cheek piece last year about, here's my top 5 ideas for what I would put in that space if the Browns move.
Right.
And that's where the city needs to start pivoting to right now.
100%.
Because it is going to happen.
Right.
The governor is likely going to be very friendly
Yeah.
to Jimmy when it comes to some sort of bonds or some sort of money that helps him get to his number. Like I said, what's his pain threshold? What is he going to be willing to spend on it?
Jimmy's brother is the governor. You think the governor's
Tennessee.
not
Former.
a former
he's not
governor?
there anymore.
You think he can't get that call done? Hey,
He doesn't.
No, they all run in the same circles.
Yes.
They're all rich, and they're all part of a secret society that keeps the rich rich and makes the working man. It's harder for us to get to where they are. They don't want us where they are.
That's right.
They want us to continue to throw our dollars at them
and fight with each other.
and
about,
fight with which is kind of what's going on here. I think in the end, we all agree we want the new stadium.
Yes.
But I believe the billionaire should have to pay for
Yes.
it, not the working
Yes.
class man
Well-
and woman, who, by the way, for the most part in Cleveland, look at if you look at the demographics of Cleveland, more than half of the people that have paid the taxes for all of the stadiums that have been built can't afford to go to.
That's right. That's
Can I
right.
ask one question
And by
on
the
this
way,
real
last
quick?
thing, Mike, once
then I
the
have a question
stadium
after.
opens up, even less people are going to be able to afford it.
Of course, because the tickets are going to go way up.
If you have
not a little bit.
if you're an upper deck season ticket holder, you're going to probably be gone in the new
Get ready
stadium.
to write bigger checks. Absolutely.
One last question, then we're going to move. We'll talk Guardians next. But could this pushback from the county and city stop the dome from happening in Brook
Yes.
Park?
Yes.
It legitimately could be a roadblock. This is not
What-
just posturing.
Absolutely. Yeah, again, it's going to come down to Jimmy's pain threshold.
I don't.
The city can't really.
I don't
anything,
believe-
but
The
the
city-
county
but
definitely
no,
can.
j-
Yeah,
Bull,
right.
with the city, with the
ci-
county,
they're
they
working
can.
together.
Yeah, sure they are. It's
Chris
obvious now.
Chris Ronayne is the county executive.
Yes.
and I'm pretty sure has a relationship with Justin Bibb. You know,
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Of course they
So-
do. And but when they came out with their letter, to me, running it through the BS detector, like I said, what they're saying is we ultimately have to pick a side here,
right?
and we're siding with the city.
That's right.
So now it's 2 against 1. But again, the state would make up for what the city and
That's right.
county make up together.
By the way, Ohio used to be a purple state.
Oh no, it's not anymore.
This is a red state.
There's no question about that.
It's not an ultra red state.
No, it's not ultra red, but
Sherrod Brown's still going to win.
Sherrod Brown is going to win, and
that-
I'll tell you what, it's closer to purple than deep red, and here's why.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think the people of Ohio have very good sensibilities. I don't want to get too much into politics. However, the reason I say that is the last Ohio senator won easily. This is the same job. It's not like this is districted out. There are senators. Everybody in the state of Ohio, we have 2 senators. It's not like, J.D. Vance would have half the state and Sherrod Brown would have half the state. I think the states that are most sensible are the ones that understand that there needs to be a balance in politics. If either party was fully in power, that's not good. Our system is set up for it to be two parties.
Frankly, the last thing I'll say about it is that's a problem in the state, that it's run by one party. That's a problem.
Well,
there needs to be. There's no balance.
And it's the same in California and New York. That's a problem. Whether it's D or R,
Yeah.
it's a problem.
Mike,
and that's why I think Ohioans have sensibilities. They're going to elect a Democrat to counterbalance their Republican senator.
But this is, like you said, Jay, this is why they're trying to go at warp speed. The NFL says, listen, we need to get this on Mike DeWine's desk immediately.
Sure, they're trying to
That's
push it.
what we're trying to do.
Yep.
And that is where they're going to go with it. Now, listen, we want to go to politics, but I don't think this stops anything. It just stops how much Jimmy got to go out of pocket.
Yeah.
Out of pocket.
I agree
Yeah.
with that. But again, I do think the central issue here is Jimmy has a number in his mind. Jimmy, by the way, is playing a very good game of chicken here.
Yeah.
He's playing this as well as someone can play it. He didn't get to his position in life by being a dummy. So he's playing it well.
Yeah.
He may have already made the decision, this is going to happen.
Right.
Do I pay $1.8 billion or do I pay $1.2 billion? That's what this is about.
In the end, Jimmy's going to win. It's just by how much is he
Yeah,
going to
and
win.
you know why Jimmy's going to win? Because I mentioned that he may have lost the city and county, but I mentioned he's got the state, he's got the governor.
Yeah.
He also has the NFL.
Right.
And when does the NFL not get what it wants?
Never.
Can you remember?
They lost that lawsuit.
And
and
they
then like a
lost it,
week
but they
later,
won it.
the judge was like,
The
Yeah, no, we're throwing
goodbye.
it out.
By the
Yeah.
way, if it goes to a judgment,
They lose.
Jimmy got the people. He got the judges.
No,
too.
he's going to win. It's
They
just
got
by
the
how many
judges, too.
points. You know,
Come on
that's
now.
it.
Come on now.
Speaking of winning, the Guardians won 2 big games, but we're going to save Amari Cooper for later. And
Yeah.
we're going to get to the Guardians because we have to give them the appropriate amount of time for their final 2 wins. And this segment on the Guardians is brought to us by LinkedIn Talent. When you're hiring for small businesses, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. It's not just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites, so if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That is linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And with that, Bull, you can take it away. Let's talk a little
One
Guardians.
Yeah, go
second.
ahead.
One
Yeah,
second.
go.
Guys, I
Yeah.
think this is important because I don't want to. I said something earlier that was factually incorrect, and I don't
Fix
like.
it,
I don't
yep.
like to leave that lie. I said that the Haslam had spent, and this was just off the top of my head, my memory was that they had spent $450 million to buy a minority stake
Bucks.
in the Bucks.
No one knows what the numbers. It's been reported up to 800,
well,
but then
Steve,
it's been.
Steve sent us a group text and said that this is according to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, which, by the way, you usually go to the local sources on these type of issues because they have sources inside the team and they get that number right. According to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, the Haslam Group spent $800 million to be 1/4 owners of a team that competes with us.
That's
been
been
a huge
refuted. It's
difference.
been refuted a little bit.
I know it's been refuted. Of course, if you're on the Haslam side, you're going to say, we didn't pay that much. You know why you're going to say that? Because you're about to ask people for money.
That's right.
That's why you're going to say that number's high.
And that $800 million is probably worth $1 billion now.
Sure it is.
So go take that and pay for the rest of the stadium.
And here's my issue.
Yeah.
If that's exactly right.
Yeah.
You need $800 million if I'm the governor and I'm all these people that he's coming to asking for money.
Yeah.
Well, you've got $800 million tied up in a team that competes with one of our teams.
That's right.
Sell it. Put that money into your stadium.
There you go.
There's your problem.
There you go.
There's $800 million.
No doubt about it. I agree with you 100%.
Okay.
Good clarification. So this weekend started, and it was ugly. I mean, that doubleheader on Friday was terrible. Stephen Vogt left Alex Cobb in too long. I get
He
it.
did.
His
He
starting
did.
pitchers have.
What'd you think of Cobb? His stuff.
I thought we saw some good stuff there.
I did too.
Alex
I did too.
Cobb has always been a good, solid starting pitcher.
Yeah.
Now he's old and he hasn't pitched all year. Well, relatively old. And he hasn't pitched all year. I think we saw some good things. In the end, he fell apart that last inning. I think he'll be fine as their third, fourth starter in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I think he will be by the time we get there. It's going to take. Listen, this is basically a spring training here.
Right.
But it was a terrible Friday. They played really poorly, and that 7-game losing streak, they played the worst ball we've seen from them all year. But what's funny is that losing streak started with 2 losses to Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
We look at that Baltimore series where they split a 4-game series as, that was a bad series because of the way it ended. Whereas the Twins series, they did the same thing, split 4 with Minnesota,
we're
but
happy.
it ended positive, and you feel good. And I referenced this earlier, but Bybee and Williams are the key, right? We know the Guardians' bullpen is the best in baseball.
Yeah.
And even though outside of Class A, some of those guys have never done it before this year, I feel 100% confident in the Guardians' bullpen, and I have more confidence in Emmanuel Class A than any relief pitcher in the entire game right now.
Yeah. Well, I got a stat for you. I'll give when you're done.
Yeah.
To blow you away.
It's amazing. There's so many unbelievable things with him. But you saw a preview of what the playoffs can be. Gavin Williams and Tanner Bybee are extremely talented pitchers, but we got to keep in mind that they're extremely young and inexperienced pitchers. Yeah. Even though, especially Bybee, kind of gives you a veteran vibe, but he's still been in the big leagues like a year and change, and he's been dealing with some stuff. But for him to come back off missing that start and pitch the way he did yesterday in a game, you're like, got to get it.
Yeah.
Got to get these two. And now,
It shows he's got big game moxie.
and Gavin Williams and Tanner Bybee push each other. They've been pushing each other since the minors. Zach Meisel told a great story this morning on the Guardians show. Go back and watch it if you're a Guardians fan, about how when they were at last year's spring training, before they were really completely on the radar, that the Guardians would send out a media alert in spring training last year every day. Bybee and Williams will be pitching on backfield 4 if you want to go see them. And everybody wanted to go see Bybee and Williams pitch, and they would push each other.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. Gavin Williams went out there Saturday and said, we got to end this.
Yeah, here it is. And he said to Tanner Bybee, now it's your turn.
That's right.
And he answered it.
And he did. And that was huge because now it's 4 less games on the schedule, and they're still 3.5. They're not 8-9 that they were. I get it.
Right.
The Twins are a good team. The Royals are a good team. They were going to make a run.
Yep.
We're not used to the Central being pretty good. It is.
Very good.
We know how bad the White Sox are.
Yeah.
But the rest of the division is good. Even the Tigers, they're competitive.
Sure.
They're great, but they're competitive.
Got 3 teams that are in the mix.
I think it's going to be, I believe, the first time ever that 3 Central teams make the playoffs in the same year. I don't think that's ever happened.
I can't remember a time that's happened.
The Royals are a good baseball team.
They are.
They're not
And
as
they're
good as the
getting better.
Guardians, but they're a good baseball team.
Now, we got to break. The Twins lost a pitcher, maybe for the season. We don't know yet.
What's his name? I just forgot his name. Not Bailey Ober.
This happened Friday.
Not Lopez. Joe Ryan.
Yes, Ryan.
Right.
And
that's a big loss for them.
It might be. They don't know yet. It might be for the year.
Yes.
That's a huge help to us.
But
I'm going to do something. And Bull, I want your reaction to this. You're probably going to kill me for this.
Uh-oh.
He's not on their level, and he certainly hasn't shown it this year, but neither had Gavin Williams until yesterday or until this weekend. But I think Logan Allen is a guy that we're going to get something from before it's done this year. And I know it was disappointing the way he was sent down. You know, he kind of rolled his eyes when Vogt came out to get him.
Yeah.
And boom. You know, and it had already been an issue and it had been discussed.
Right.
Boom, you're down. And then he came back up. First 2 hitters hit home runs. First pitch of the game,
he pitched great after that.
Second hitter, boom.
Yeah.
And then I think he got a standing A count.
Yeah.
He knocked it off, and he pitched great after that.
He actually got in further trouble that inning and then got a double play to get out of the inning.
Of it, yeah.
And then he was lights out the rest of the game.
Then he was Logan Allen again.
Yeah.
He's better than he's shown us this year. Now, you can also argue that on the flip side of that, we're getting performances from pitchers that the guy going, I think Lively's going
Ben
tonight.
Lively's going tonight, yeah.
Lively's going for win 11.
Yeah.
Boom, head blown.
Yeah.
So, and we expected something out of Bieber, got nothing. We expected something out of McKenzie, got nothing.
If I were the Guardians, I've been saying this for a couple of weeks, I would be, not long-term, we're not giving up on Tristan McKenzie.
Not yet.
I would put him in the bullpen right now.
Smart move. I thought the same thing.
Let's see what he can do. Yeah. Because in the playoffs, well, I don't need a 5th starter in the playoffs.
No, but you get 2 or 3 innings.
I need a couple extra bullpen guys. And some of their back-end bullpen guys have kind of come back to earth. They're back. I'm sorry. When I say back-end, I mean like they're the 5th, 6th, 7th relief pitcher.
Don't you need your bullpen? Don't you need your bullpen guys to come in and throw strikes? That is not
well, you do, and Tristan hasn't been able to do that this year.
Correct.
Right.
But I'd like to see him for a month pitch 1 inning a night.
How did he do over the weekend?
His last start was really good, actually.
Well, no, that was his.
Or is it 2 starts ago?
He was scheduled to go either Friday or Saturday. I can't remember.
I'm looking at. Hold on one
second.
second.
But his start before that, he was Tristan McKenzie again.
But remember this, and who knows if it's going to work out. Remember early in his career, Carlos Carrasco was very inconsistent as a starting pitcher early in his career.
Yeah.
And then remember, the Guardians moved him to the bullpen. I don't even remember what year it was, like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
They moved him to the pen, and we can go back and look at it. And he was lights out in the pen.
Yeah, he was.
And then the next year, I don't know if it was the beginning of the season or maybe May, he went back into the rotation
and was better.
And he was that's
when he became Carlos Carrasco.
The rest of his career. Yeah. Now, McKenzie's got good stuff still. The control's been awful. It's a huge problem. He's a non-factor for them starting the rest of the season.
Right.
But he's got good enough stuff that I got a month. Let's see for a month how he does out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, what'd you lose? Nothing.
Yeah, you're right.
If it works, maybe he can be an extra weapon in the playoffs.
The only thing is, we had the safety net.
Yeah.
At a 9-game lead where you could tinker. It's
in the I'm saying have him do it in the minors for a month.
Oh wow! Yeah,
in the minors,
you think he would do that,
or at least a couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Let's see what he looks like. Because let's say for 3 weeks he has 6 appearances and he's lights out in the pen, then call him up and put him. Right now, what am I getting from Pedro Avila in the back of the pen? He's not been good.
Nothing.
So if Tristan McKenzie can become my 5th, 6th relief pitcher, maybe he's something there.
Did you see his last line? Or was he scratched?
It's hard to find game logs for minor league stats. I'm sure. Oh, I found it. There we go.
Okay, what do you got? What do you do?
4.8 innings pitched, so 4 2/3.
Yeah, 4.8.
No, I lied. 5 innings pitched. That's his ERA.
Okay.
I think that's backwards.
Yeah, that didn't make much sense.
5 hits, 2 runs in 5 innings, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts.
It's not great.
No, but only 2 walks, not bad. Here, by the way, one other thing on the pitching. On Tuesday, Matthew Boyd is going to make his season in Guardians debut. One. Now, unlike Cobb,
Tommy John.
like Cobb's been a good, solid pitcher his whole career.
Right.
Good pitcher. Matthew Boyd's kind of been at best average, really more of a below average starting pitcher for most of his career. And he is coming off Tommy John, who knows. The only thing I'll say that has
good.
He has been lights out in rehab in about 23 innings.
He has.
He not just good, he's been dominant.
Yeah, he has.
Now, will it translate to the majors? I have no idea.
No idea.
It's something to keep an eye on.
Have you been paying attention to Bazzana, by the way?
Say again?
Have you been paying attention to Bazzana?
Yeah.
It's not a good start for him.
It hasn't been great, and he's not going to help him this year. But
I was hopeful that they might see him in September. That's not going to happen.
Now, can I make my bold statement?
Yes.
Or my
What
bold
was it?
declaration?
Absolutely.
Or Mike, you got something else real quick on the?
No. Keep it going.
Okay.
We're Guardians till the end.
So we have the next 3 days. The Guardians playing the Cubs.
Right.
Now, the Cubs are a average, middle of the road team. Probably the worst team. The Guardians are in a stretch of playing great teams.
They are.
And the Cubs are probably the worst team they're playing in the stretch. Now, they've played much better the last couple of weeks. They had been down to almost 10 games. I think they were 10 or 11 games under 500. They're now only 1 game under 500.
Oh, wow.
And only 3 games out of a wild card spot. So they're playing much better the last couple of weeks. It's the best their record's been since late May, early June. And the one thing they've done well all season is their starting pitching. That's been the strength. Their lineup's been like a poorer version of the Guardians. It's pretty good up front and terrible in the back.
Right.
It's not as good as the Guardians up front, and their bullpen is absolute trash.
Yep.
Maybe the worst in baseball. So, but despite all that, the Cubs are in it. They're 3 games out of a wild card.
Stunning to me.
Stunning, as bad as they
They
played.
were sellers at the trade deadline.
Yes, although it was a mixed thing because they traded for a guy from Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
But it's Sock Paredes, who I actually like that move a lot. And one of the pitchers in this series is a guy I wanted the Guardians to get, Jameson Taillon, who did not pitch well his last start, but overall this season's been great as an ERA around 3. So it's not going to be an easy series, although I expect the Guardians to win it. But I'm going to say something that I have never said in my entire life.
Whoa.
In 53 years on this planet. I am rooting for the Cleveland Guardians to sweep the Cubs this week.
Wow.
Even though the Cubs are my team, everybody knows I rooted for them in the World Series. There was some pain because I have loved the Indians/Guardians since I've been here. If they'd played any of the other 14 American National League teams in the World Series, I would have been beyond 100% in. What can I do? I'm rooting for a team my whole life. I'm not going to root against them. But even this, like if the Cubs were completely out of it, maybe you'd understand. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised that you are rooting for them. If they sweep the Guardians, they could be in a playoff spot.
That's right. I don't believe the Cubs are a legitimate contender. I don't think they can win in the playoffs. It's not their year. I want the Guardians to win. I don't know. I think the Guardians can win the World Series.
What if the Cubs were legitimate?
If the Cubs were a World Series contender, I'd be rooting for them.
I'll remind you, though.
Yeah.
The Cubs are today where the Braves were 2 years ago when they came back and won it all.
I hear you. And you could argue that I'm being a bad fan. And I'm not just saying this to please the fans, or I would have lied in 2016 about the World Series, if anything else. I just think the Cubs are not any good. They've played they've played a bunch of bad teams recently, which has allowed them to play better. They just played the White Sox. They had a tougher stretch earlier in the year. I just don't think they're legit. I think next year they'll be a lot better. I want the Guardians to win so bad. I am so all in on this team.
Welcome to my world.
I want them to get that World Series. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but I believe in this team. I'm so all in on this team that I'm just like, screw it. I don't want the Cubs to win this series. I want the Guardians to get continue momentum and win at least 2 out of 3. Tonight's going to be tough. The guy pitching for the Cubs, Shota Imanaga,
yes,
a rookie, even though he's like 30.
And our best pitchers aren't going to pitch in this series.
No.
So that's why it's going to be tough.
Lively, obviously wasn't great his last start. Imanaga's been fantastic. He's got a 2.97 ERA, but if you look at his game log, he's had 2 starts where he got destroyed, where he gave up 8 runs in 2 innings.
And everything else, he's been really good.
I bet you he's got a 2 ERA in all his other starts besides those 2. So he's done a tremendous job for them. 24 walks. I don't know how many innings he's pitched, over 100. Or 28 walks. He's been really good command-wise. And the
Guardians' bats have not exactly been chirping.
The good news is he's a lefty, which, Lane Thomas has been terrible here, but he's killed lefties. He hasn't faced enough since he's been here.
And he's a national leaguer. I think that has something to do with Lane's struggles. When you switch leagues like that,
I think it's less a deal because you play more.
We do see them, but you don't see
everybody. It's an adjustment. It's a new park. Your life. We forget about the players as humans.
I know we do.
When you're moving, But I'm sure he's excited to be in a pennant race. He wasn't in a pennant race,
right?
But I think he'll come around. But one other thing I want to say is, we got to get Kyle Manzardo back up here.
Bull, he's not hitting.
I don't care. He's hit enough. He's hit enough.
No, in the minor leagues, he's been terrible
lately, but he had been sizzling hot before that. a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then he cooled off.
That was the time to bring him up.
But he is your top prospect. George Valera's been very good. Let's get some of these guys up. The Guardians cannot hit righties right now. They're terrible against. They got Lane Thomas who can't hit righties hitting second. David Fry can't hit righties right now. And that brings me to my final point. I know I've been rambling. My 2 complaints from yesterday.
Yeah.
I can't bring in Nick Sandlin in the 8th inning.
No.
I don't know what he was doing there. Stephen Vogt did a great job. He has a great chance to win Manager of the Year. What? Sandlin's been awful.
I know.
He's given up 6 home runs in his last 11 innings. Byron Buxton, why can't I keep Hunter Gaddis in there? He'd only thrown 17 pitches.
Yeah, no. I think I thought that was
I didn't understand
it's easy
that.
to say that when
No,
we
I
have the
said it
benefit of the
beforehand,
result.
I swear to you,
I didn't. I said, you know what?
I don't want him in there.
But it seems like every time he comes in, he gives up a home run to the first hitter.
And to face Byron Buxton, who we know can be pitched to, and like Gaddis, he can strike out Byron Buxton.
Sure.
But Byron Buxton, if you make a mistake to Byron Buxton, he's hitting it out on you when he's healthy.
Yeah, he is.
And you're bringing a guy who's the most home run pitcher.
Was it Buxton that hit the one that ended up being a foul ball in the 6th or 7th inning?
Yes.
A mammoth.
Yeah,
it would have been a mammoth home run,
Exactly.
but it was foul.
And then the dumbest thing, and I was originally mad at Vogt on this, but it turned out it was the player did it himself.
Yeah.
David Fry, you can't be bunting.
Yeah,
him.
I didn't understand
What are you
that
doing
either.
there?
And I knew that was on Fry because
Yeah.
there's no way. There's
It
no
didn't make
way
much
to manage
sense,
it.
How do you have the option to do that? Like, how do you?
A player,
A player,
If Jose Ramirez want to do it, so what? But not
Jose
Jose
would never do
I would
that.
never
Right.
expect Jose to ever
Never.
do that.
He would never do that.
But Jose would be the kind of guy that would and surprise people, and it would work. First of all, if you're going to do it, you better have supreme confidence that it's going to work.
Right. And does he ever bunt?
No,
I've
that's
never
the
seen-
thing. I mean, it was like so out of left field.
And it showed a lack of confidence in himself.
I thought so too.
I don't like that.
I thought so too.
And again, who are you setting it up for? Andres Jimenez, who's had a terrible season?
Right. I'll trust your bat over Jimenez.
Let's go. I
Let's
know
do
you've
it.
been struggling, but he hit a home run in the game.
I know. In that game.
I mean, you can't be sack bunting there.
No.
And fortunately, Clase got out of his own jam that he created.
He did.
A rare jam for him.
Yeah.
But it could have cost them the game. And that if they had lost that game after that double play
Oh,
with
my
Fry,
God.
and if Clase had blown it, it would have been the most devastating loss of the season.
Now, you bring up Clase,
Yeah.
and this needs context, but I saw this over the weekend. There is a stat, it's the lowest ERA in Major League Baseball history for pitchers that have thrown at least 150 innings, which
Okay.
isn't a lot.
Oh, career, you talking
Career.
about? Yeah, sure.
He's now got the lowest ERA in Major League history for all pitchers that have thrown at least 150 innings.
Yeah, again, as you said, not a lot of innings
That's
at this
crazy.
point.
Yeah, not
but
a lot.
It's still,
That's a season for a starter.
that's
crazy.
You're
that's
there by
crazy.
August.
That is still a cool stat, though.
1.78. Now, the reason that stat's not a great stat is because I'll read off the other names on the list.
Yeah.
Ed Walsh. Everybody knew you didn't want to face Ed on his
Oh,
on his best
easy
day.
Ed.
1904 to 1917. Charlie Hoodnet.
Never heard of him.
Devin Williams.
Oh,
Devin Williams, we know.
He's the closer of the Brewers. He's been hurt for
Devin
most
Williams,
of this year.
we know.
He's
He's
really
won
good.
8-8. He's great.
He's
I
really
thought that
good.
was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
receiver at Ohio State.
Yeah. Other than that, Addie Joss.
He pitched
1902.
100 years ago. Yeah.
Jim Devlin, 1873.
Yeah.
Jack Feaster, 1903. And good old Smokey Joe Wood, 1908.
Smokey Joe.
But what's crazy is nobody else that's thrown at least 150
That's
innings
nuts.
has done that.
Him and Devin Williams. That's it.
That's it.
And Devin Williams is nasty like him. I mean, he's
Exactly.
been hurt most of this year. But by the way, we don't do nicknames like they did in turn of the century baseball.
Yeah, Smokey Joe Wood.
Mordecai Three Fingers Brown. I mean,
one of the all-time
I
greats.
mean, all those nicknames back then.
Yes.
That is borderline. That nickname is borderline.
Pausing- are you pausing on three
Yeah, we got a little pause there.
Yeah, a little pause.
Just a small one.
Yeah,
Lowercase.
I
we
mean,
don't know that's why he was. Pause. Never mind.
Oh,
Yeah,
my God.
Never mind. We
That's
got to pivot.
That was crazy.
We got to pivot.
By the way, his other two fingers on that hand, I think he lost part of his fingers. He didn't have the full fingers. He didn't actually have three fingers.
And
he
boom,
had
just
5
keeps
fingers,
going.
but the other
Pause.
two were cut off.
He just keeps going. He keeps going deeper into it. See,
But
Pause.
despite their struggles before this weekend, I am so into this team and into this season. And part of me wants to stick it to all the naysayers and the fair weather fans.
Right. Now, I will say,
yeah.
not that I'm in their camp,
Yeah.
but I'm an optimist. But
Sure.
usually on baseball, I'm also a realist in my brain. My heart, I'm an optimist.
Yeah.
But I've watched the baseball that this team has played really going back to middle of June. If you go back to the middle of June, we're sub 500. The home runs, which were way up.
Yeah, they're not.
We're down. If you just go from that stretch, we're at the bottom of the league, near the bottom of the league.
Yeah.
Home runs per game.
Yep.
Until we worked 2 runs yesterday later in the game with base hits, every run we had scored in the series was off home runs.
Yeah.
And solos. That's
Listen,
that.
A lot of them.
They've slumped. They're flawed. But here's the thing. The Yankees have slumped and they're flawed.
Every team
The
has.
Orioles have
Yeah.
slumped and they're flawed. There's no team, especially in the American League. Maybe the Phillies, they've had the least
What about the
slump.
Astros? I know where they are now, but remember where they were.
I know they got off to a bad start. But
They're in first place.
they're tied. You're tied with the
I
Mariners.
think they got a 1 percentage point lead.
What's funny is you got a tie for first, not percentage-wise, but in terms of like.
Yeah, the game's out.
They're tied with the Mariners, and in the American Leagues, the Orioles and Yankees are tied, which is crazy.
It really is.
Right? But I look at the Astros, like everybody's like, well, the Guardians pitching. Okay, it's a concern. But all these teams have pitching issues beyond 1 or 2 guys. Seattle's the only team that has a deep rotation.
You're right.
But their lineup sucks.
I'm not worried.
And that's not going to, I mean, you can't, we've seen the Guardians or the Indians go through playoffs where their pitching was lights out and they couldn't score runs.
Right.
You're not going to win a World Series that way.
You need 4 starters, in my opinion, because you don't want to go short rest.
Right.
But you need 3 good starters.
Yeah.
I think there's a reasonable chance, again, not a short thing because a lot of unprovenness here, but I think there's a reasonable chance that Gavin Williams, Tanner Bybee, and Alex Cobb, and I'm asking a lot, especially with Cobb and to some degree Gavin Williams, could be more than adequate, a very competitive top 3 in the playoffs. I believe that, and I look at these other teams, and yes, there's things I like about the Astros, but there's things that I don't like. I don't love their starting pitching.
Yeah.
I don't. The Yankees, I think there's concerns in their pen. And, Soto and Aaron Judge, I don't want to do it. They're scary as hell.
We keep
the
talking,
superstars.
but
the rest of their lineup is nothing.
But we keep talking about the pitching. To me, they got to find another consistent source of power or consistency. When you get past the 5th hole for the Guardians,
it's a problem. Andres Jimenez has done nothing.
Zero.
Adding Thomas, by the way, has complicated the mix because if you look at Noel's at-bats, he's disappeared.
Yeah.
He's disappeared.
Yeah.
Now, I know that he's a prodigious home run guy.
Yeah.
When he hits them, we're intoxicated by the size of them. We're like, holy cow.
Yeah.
But the problem is, when you take a player like that who's getting, not regular reps, but he was more regular.
Yeah.
Now you add Lane. Will Brennan gets sent to the minors. He comes up Friday, gets 3 hits. But Noel's at-bats have dwindled, and now the at-bats he gets have been terrible because he's chasing.
He's swinging at first pitches.
He's swinging at everything.
Because he's like, I got to get my cuts in.
Sure, he's pressing.
He's pressing a little bit.
And so sometimes adding a guy can really throw off the chemistry, and that's what we've done with Thomas, by the way.
I don't think it's throwing off the chemistry. I think, yes.
The mix was good, Bull.
I think they need to consider, if nothing else, dropping Lane Thomas in the lineup against righties.
Absolutely, he has to.
And they got to consider not playing him against tough righties.
I mean, to me, he looks like Will Brennan, though.
But again,
he looks like
not now. Like he's not hitting at Will Brennan's clip.
He has a track record.
He does
In the league.
He does.
He's been here,
which is why
2
they're
weeks.
sticking with him.
He's been here 2 weeks. We got to be a little
know.
patient with it.
I don't have patience, Bull.
I hear you.
I'm 59 and dying fast.
You're definitely not dying fast. All right, Mike, you got some super chats or what?
We do. We got 2 super chats to wrap them up. Both of them come from our guy Halim Youssef. Halim says in his first super chat, I can't wait for the whole crew to eat their words on Elijah Moore. He was used incorrectly for 10 games and still had 59 receptions with an average of 10 yards a catch, up from 37 receptions the year before, drop rate under 5%. Do you guys think Elijah Moore was used incorrectly last year?
I think, I do think that's part of that's true.
Yeah.
Because remember, early on,
gadget plays.
It was like we brought him here for that.
He is not that athletic to be running.
He was running the wrong direction.
I think we'd all agree that if Elijah Moore proves us wrong,
I'd
we'll
love
be
to eat
happy
those
to say
words.
it.
I'll shake
Serve
his
those
hand.
words.
Yeah.
I would eat those words any day of the week. I hope I'm wrong on him.
I'll shake his hand.
I just don't. I just don't see how he's going to play as much as last year.
I don't either.
And I'm going to be honest with you, and this is a bad thing about it. It's the fact that he seems to have a lot of head injuries. When guys start getting concussions, and
How many concussions has he had?
I don't know.
So
I
he
haven't
has
tracked
actually.
it.
We were gonna do
Last
this
year
last
he's had
week.
a number of them, or
He's
one
been
lingering
officially put into the protocol twice.
one. Yeah.
Once with the Jets, once with the Browns. Now he's
What? No, he was in
no,
protocol.
he's had officially concussions
Right. Yeah.
twice.
Okay.
He's been put into the protocol 4 times throughout his career.
right.
In 3 years. His
That's
career
a
is
lot.
3 years. That is a lot.
That's Denzel Ward
and-
territory.
and-
Denzel
and-
Ward's been in a lot
and
too.
for a smaller guy who's working in a slot, going across the middle at that size, like those things happen.
I'm not expecting anything from him this year. If he gives them a good season, then great. Fantastic.
I love it.
What
We'll eat
else
our
did he have
words.
to say?
The other super chat from Halim says, SoFi Stadium was only privately funded because of a state law prohibiting public money for sports teams. California is the only one with that
And
law.
by the way, that's one thing California's gotten right. That is, I think all 50 states should adopt that. Why are we subsidizing billionaires?
Yeah.
But they can get away with it because California is always a sweet spot, and the fact that it's the second largest market in the world, so they know teams are going to come.
Well,
with
And there's
it.
plenty of billionaires
Right.
in that state.
Right.
Someone's
So-
going to step up and
So they're like, yeah, go ahead, put the law in the books. It makes us look good, like, you know what I mean, like.
right. It's a gentleman's law.
It is. It's a gentleman. It's a wink, wink, nah, nah. Yeah.
But I like that law, and I wish
But I do.
every state had it.
Shout out to them. They got NIL off the ground. Out there,
You're right.
They were the first team.
You're
they got
right.
those out.
Hey, quickly, I know we're going to go to overtime here in a second, and I was hoping we would do this topic in the show.
We're going to do it for overtime.
If you're not a member, buy a membership because this overtime is going to be fun. New sports that you would add to the 2028 Olympics. And I'm telling you, I have told the sport that I want to add to probably 15 people. And not one of them yet has said that's stupid, I wouldn't do that.
Is it a real sport?
It's going to be. It's not
Okay.
yet. I'm inventing a sport. But when you hear it,
Yeah.
I'm anxious to see what
Everybody's
Bulls
gonna be all
respond.
in?
Bulls a tough audience.
I am.
But I've told this to 15 or so people, and they've all
they-
said, oh my God, that's a great idea. I would watch that. Hell, we've got breaking in the Olympics.
do.
Did you guys see that lady from Australia?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw
Ron
that.
Go Ray Gun, baby.
Reagan, oh my God, I thought it was a joke.
I cannot believe that's a whole sport.
Bro, I thought that was a parody. I thought this
was
is a
great.
joke.
Yeah.
And
This
they-
is a
they
joke.